Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 71 of the ADV podcasts. And we have, well, again, something important to talk about today.
One day we'll have something not important to talk about.
We'll let you know.
One day.
Anyway, let's saunter right into it. We're going to start out with what's new as usual, where we talk about what's new with regards to China and what's happening, etc., etc. And, well, we're going to start out with a little bit of fun here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So...
So for all you listeners out there that don't have one of these things called a screen, where you can see things, it says free speech exists, and then it says China, I'm gonna need to speak with a manager, and it has a picture of Xi Jinping with a Karen hair.
Yeah.
This is from our subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/ADVChina. Just wanted to give a shout out to the boys and girls that put out the memes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Done some good stuff on there.
So, yeah, we've got this thing here. I think most people in the world know about Mao Zedong.
Probably. Chairman Mao.
Chairman Mao is a very controversial figure. And it's something that I could not really always put my finger on. I couldn't really understand in China that he's still worshipped, even though he is responsible for so much misery and death.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the history books are rewritten to show him as a hero in China when you read about him in school, etc. But it's provable that his policies, he's even been criticized by the Communist Party in the past.
Yeah, so there was this theory called the 60-40 theory, which is kind of the official narratives. And the 60-40 theory means that they teach that 60% of Mao's policies were correct and 40% were not really a mistake, but kind of like, oh, not so good.
Yeah.
Right? But that's kind of been reverted under the new leadership. It's kind of, they haven't gotten rid of the 60-40 theory. But what they've done is kind of stop talking about anything negative.
Yeah.
Because he's deified.
The guy is awful. He's he's
the worst
man. Awful dictator.
Existed,
you know, if you read the books written by his doctor and so on, he's a pedophile and he's he's just like the worst kind of person you can imagine. And under his leadership and guidance, you could say, China was plummeted into this terrible sort of turmoil and famine and purges and people dying. And he riled up the Red Guard and he got families to rat each other out and, just like
there's
public
cannibalism
execution. And all. He's a horrible, horrible man, yet he's still on the currency. Mm-hmm. And he's used as a way to control the masses these days by the Communist Party. They use him as a leadership figure to show how strong the party is, etc., etc. So it's a very weird situation where it's as if Hitler was still right now being worshipped in Germany.
Right.
That's exactly how it would be. If Hitler was on the money in Germany now, and people were hanging his portrait on the wall, which they do, and all government offices and businesses would have a picture of Hitler on the wall, and you'd have the Hitler medallions in the taxis as you drive around. It's the same thing. Mm-hmm. So it is a very weird situation.
Yeah.
However, maybe you can tell everyone what happened during the Olympics recently.
So as a women's cyclist, they were wearing, as the Chinese team in the Olympics, they were wearing Chairman Mao badges. Now, I'm not going to say that that was their idea. It was maybe their coach or the Olympic Committee in China. But anyway, they wore these. They wore these badges here.
Now, up there.
This pisses off a lot of people on both sides. The people that obviously, I would say the vast majority of the world hates Chairman Mao and thinks he's a horrible person. So they would look at that like, why are you wearing a symbol of murder and genocide, really?
Sure.
And then you have the other side, which got mad for a different reason. I'll tell you about that in a second. But anyway, you're not allowed to, according to the International Olympic Committee, you are not allowed to wear any political symbology. And this
on the podium.
On the podium. And this is very much political symbology. It doesn't get much more political symbology than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So they wore this, and then it's now being put into question. Like there's a freaking petition about it and stuff.
Yeah, our one of our favorite artists and activists, ADVChina has actually started a petition. And it says there, why wear a Mao badge in the Olympics? It says, it is a symbol for China's deadly cultural revolution. And Mao is a dictator who kills tens of millions of people, including my grandparents, with his crazy social engineering and political persecution for personal power obsession.
Yeah.
There was a personality cult around
was,
him. I mean,
yeah.
there still is a massive
Yeah.
personality cult, something that Xi Jinping is trying to emulate.
Yeah.
You know, and he's trying to use Mao Zedong as an example, and he's trying to emulate him, and he wants to be like him and have the same kind of leadership.
And it's kind of working.
It is, unfortunately.
I would say people are less in love with Xi Jinping compared to Mao. Mao is more charismatic. Xi Jinping's not very charismatic at all, actually. He's very not likable, to be honest. But he's
neither
got
is
enough.
Mao. He looks awful.
Right, but he had so many. Back then, it was this new thing. Communism was like this new kind of, Chinese communism is this new thing. But in China, you have to fight with the fact that people want to play on their phones and like video games and stuff.
Sure.
Back then, you were like, we were kind of repressed through all these dynasties, and now there's this new swish thing. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's
But anyway, they so that's in question. I just want to bring it up because it's just something ubiquitous in China. You'll literally see Mao's image everywhere, and not just on political stuff. Like people carry it as a good luck charm.
Yes.
And it's funny because Mao hated Chinese religion. He
Yes.
tried to delete all of it. Chinese tradition, Chinese what's it called? Like familial worship.
Yeah.
He tried to get rid of money.
Yeah.
And now he's on the money.
He
and
tried to
he's
get rid of
deified.
the Chinese writing. Actually, Chinese characters.
Yeah, my point is he tried to get the things he tried to get rid of, they attribute him to. So they deify him, use him as a good luck charm when he tried to literally
rid
make
of all the
all of that
superstition.
stuff go away.
Yeah, we've got those clips. We haven't loaded them up. We'll show you in the future of people actually bowing down and praying to, pictures of Mao and stuff. It's kind of disturbing.
Yeah, they pray to him.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a shitty thing to go and wear something political like that on the podium. And there's an investigation.
Yeah, so the flip side of that, which we thought was even more
is
funny.
really hilarious,
This
yeah.
is maybe the side you won't hear about in media. You guys are probably heard. We'd like to think that every time we put something that's been covered in the media, we can offer a different perspective.
Sure.
So this is the funny thing, is if you go on the Chinese internet, it's now been scrubbed. But their initial talk was like, some people were like, hey, I'm kind of pissed off that this is illegal. Why can't we show our chairman Mao badge?
Sure.
Then the other people were like, hey, this is the rules. This is life. Maybe we should hear more to the rules of the Olympic Committee. We don't want people to look down on us, right?
Yeah.
But then China actually, when covering the story, they actually started to censor the badges.
Yeah, in Chinese state media, they censored the badges.
Yeah, and that's because because this is under investigation right now.
Right.
And so they censor the badges so that they don't proliferate like the problem or exacerbate the problem.
Yeah.
And so it pissed off royally, mostly the hardcore leftists and the Maoists in China, who get punished actually quite often by the CCP, which is weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
If you're too communist, if you're too in love with like communism, then you get punished in China. So these hardcore Maoists, like remember the university students, they got arrested.
Yeah, they got arrested
for being too communist.
Yeah.
But anyway, you have to be like a full-on nationalist for China, but only within the boundaries of China that China allows.
Yeah.
So anyway, they got mad because they were censoring the deified image that they worship of Mao.
Yeah.
And they were saying that's absolutely ridiculous. And they were starting to criticize the Chinese government for doing that, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is
just
a
it's
weird
wild.
thing. I mean, look, protests, political messaging on the podium is not something that is foreign to the Olympics, because you'll get American athletes doing weird stuff on the podiums too and so on, but it's just bizarre that they go ahead and do this sort of thing, wear a Chairman Mao badge on the podium. There's no reason for that.
There's not, and I think it could have been a good luck thing that the coach told them to do.
I
Usually
feel
young people don't do that.
I feel like it was just the coach.
It's gonna be some
proud
Uncle
of your country,
Ganbei.
wear this genocidal maniac on your shirt.
An Uncle Ganbei, by the way, is an uncle. Ganbei means cheers.
Cheers.
So an Uncle Ganbei. There's a lot of expats used to say this amongst Chinese people as well. And then it's your typical uncle, like the guy that's like middle aged and
wearing
he loves
the polo
to drink.
shirt. He's got
very
the
happy
keys
to-
on his belt.
We love a good Uncle Ganbei.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, that age person typically would deify Mao.
Yeah.
Whereas a younger generation probably not so much.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's move on. Something a little interesting, and that is, I don't know who did this.
Well, I do. Just take us out for a second. I put their name.
Okay. Oh, you did. All right. So
this
there we
is
go.
from our subreddit, reddit.com/r/ADVChina. This is from Surya. I don't know if they're the one. Oh, yeah, it says their name.
Yeah.
They uploaded Cotton. Can you give them
Cardi
a...
C.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll give you a little.
So they actually uploaded that on Beat Saber, which
Yeah.
Winston and I actually play.
Yeah.
So this is pretty fascinating to us.
Yeah, it is.
This is amazing to see. It's only like 59 seconds long, but Beat Saber is a VR game. So you wear those VR. Do I have some laying around? No. Those VR goggles that you wear, and you have these two lightsabers in your hands, and you hit stuff to the beat of music. Yeah. And so people can upload music and stuff, but I love to think that someone out there is playing Cotton on Beat Saber.
It's really
I'll
hilarious.
go play it.
It's hilarious.
We should play it after this.
Yeah, we'll try it out. See if it's
no, while we're there, don't go past this. So we actually had an idea.
Yeah.
A while back, we had a subscriber meetup that got way too big for our britches, and it was one of a couple times that we've experienced something very scary happen.
Yeah, I mean, if you were there, you'll know it was ridiculous. We had a subscriber meetup at a restaurant,
Right.
and we didn't expect that many people to turn up. We thought maybe 30 odd people might turn up, but it was more like 300.
Usually it was 30 back then.
Yeah, and like we couldn't fit in the venue.
It was in the parking
spilled
lot.
out into the parking lot. It was crazy, but during that event, there was a situation that I had to de-escalate. There was someone there that was probably going
armed,
to do something very bad, and I just managed to de-escalate it. And we realized that it was getting a bit too dodgy. We have too many enemies. We have more friends than enemies, but we have too many enemies that would take advantage of a situation if we had a public.
Yeah,
event.
so I
But
wanted
we loved it.
No, we
And
loved it.
We
It was
want
amazing.
to be able to connect with everybody and have a proper conversation and all have a drink or have a chat. It was amazing.
I wanted to say a lot of people that were there, they don't understand what happened. I always see this I was there, I don't understand what you're talking about. It was a great time.
Yeah.
We all want to give specifics. You wouldn't have known what happens because
No.
Winston took this person aside.
Yeah, I
And talked to them.
de-escalated something that was probably going to be bad. So
Yeah, really bad.
yeah.
Anyway, so we decided going forward, and that was back when we weren't even that controversial. Going forward, probably not a good idea to have public events. So we were thinking about something, and recently Winston and I have been getting into VR. You can tell how that happened.
Yeah, my wife got me the Oculus Quest 2 for my birthday. It's an early birthday gift. My birthday is this month later. And it was really cool. I always thought VR was a gimmick and I've always been against it, but it actually turns out it's very cool. It's got to the point now where it's actually usable and nice. We were thinking about setting up like a VR chat room in Big Screen, which is it's in beta right now, but it's something you can use. It's a free thing where you can actually log in and sit in a room and talk to each other, but in VR. So we've got a little poll. It's in the links in the description.
And in the chat.
It's in the chat. Let us know if you're interested in joining something along those lines, and we can elaborate later. We don't need to go on about it too long now, but that'd be lovely to have a core group of people get together and have a chat. And
People were saying, "Oh, you do a Zoom meeting." No, the reason we want to do it in VR like this is because we can stand up kind of like and emulate a stage,
Sure.
right? Just like we would in a normal event, and then have you guys sit down and talk and take
chat,
questions.
and we can put things up on a screen, and it'll be really nice, kind of fun.
That could be fun.
Yeah. Anyway,
let us know. Vote in the straw poll. There's one in the chat and in the description right now.
Oh, we've got something really special for you here.
Oh, I got to do one more.
Oh, go for
one more
it.
little pimp.
Yeah.
We are so close to hitting 100K subs. And it's a huge issue right now. We've been demonetized on this channel how many times now in a row? Pretty much the last 3 or 4 videos.
Yeah.
Now, the reason being is it's we can't appeal it. We can't appeal the monetization because we're not a verified account. We're still too small.
Yes.
You have to be 100,000 subscribers, then you get a check mark, and then we can actually appeal it and talk about why it shouldn't be demonetized. We don't have that option right now. So just a huge reminder to everyone, we're at 97,700 subscribers here. We're so close. Yeah. If you could tell your friends to please help us out, subscribe if they're interested.
Sure.
And then also just make sure that you're subscribed, just to remind you, because last time we reminded you guys, we got like 3,000 subs.
It was amazing.
Because a lot of people were like, oh, I wasn't even subscribed.
Yeah.
So please, please, please make sure you're subscribed.
That'd be great.
And then we'll hopefully by the next episode, we'll have hit that mark.
Absolutely. So guys, we've got a little treat for you. We have another rap. This time, who's rapping, Seamilk?
The PLA,
So
People's Liberation Army.
The People's Liberation Army is rapping.
Let's set it up. So we love cringe Chinese raps, but only if they're about the government, because that is the cringiest thing you could rap about.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. I posted some of that stuff on TikTok, and the Maos were like, how dare you? Like, these are not real rappers. Like, this is just school project stuff. And I'm like, no, this is on CGTN. This is on daily, what's it called? People's Daily,
People's Daily,
you know. And they're like, no, this is just some kid's project because they're so embarrassed by it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we won't let you get away with it.
Nope.
There's more. This one's not in English. This is a recruitment video for the People's Liberation Army. And they've done this before.
Yes.
We actually went historically. We saw some of the raps they put out. They're trying to get this kind of like young male type that would normally not be interested in joining the army.
Yeah.
When
Making it cool and hip, you know?
Right, but when you and I were in China, there wasn't a whole lot of promotion for recruitment. No. It's happening now, and that is a bit alarming. I'm not being tinfoil hat. Like, it's a little alarming how much they're pushing recruitment these days.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're trying to get this sphere of people, a sector of people that normally wouldn't have entertained that idea.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is kind of getting these K-pop looking boys to put on like an army outfit. And rap and sing. We actually translated.
We translated.
We got this last
earlier.
minute.
Yeah, so we just translated it. Well, the chorus anyway.
Yeah.
Let's take a look and see what the
subtitles.
People's Liberation Army is going to. How they're going to recruit you exactly. Let's see.
为将在位上，社会还放射死，如果全力抵抗，听我强调，稳调自准，直击敌人心脏的睁开利剑。我们是开放的交织层，无惧无畏，战场风云巨变。在这里绽放，这是中国，我从土不让，信仰永远不会忘，用尽我力量捍卫立场，外敌我们永抵挡，犯我中华这绝不原谅，只身为国防，冲锋战场，欢喜相当。笑起了嘴角。
Stop it on that last part. No, I just want to have that line. So, I mean, you shouldn't be recruiting people with garbage rip-off K-pop sounding, actually
Rap.
really
It's
bad.
rap. It's rap. It's not K-pop. It's rap.
Yeah, but not the chorus. That's
Right.
very K-poppy, like bad K-poppy stuff.
I kind of like the look of the guy when he's doing his thing, you know?
Yeah, he's really...
What is he going on there? It's like miracles are blooming.
Oh yeah, we have to read
inside.
it to the listeners.
Yeah, that's true.
He says miracles are blooming inside.
Is that the first line?
Yeah.
Okay. Miracles are blooming inside. Now, okay. I'll tell you one thing. If you're worried about like China being battle ready, I'll tell you one battle they'll never win is a rap battle.
Well, the Chinese rappers are actually quite good.
Yeah, okay. But
Not the state
the
rappers.
PLA.
No.
Not
Not the PLA.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Anyway, so it starts out with this. There's a guy and he's looks. I don't. What?
I'm sorry,
what?
somebody
what?
said BTS without the T.
BS. I mean, okay. I would expect that if you wanted to have a military campaign to get people to join the military, you'd want to get like a kind of a strong-looking military.
Yeah,
because
because they have plenty.
Yeah, you do get them.
There's
in
a
fact,
lot.
You do see them in the rap segment. A couple of them.
Yeah. I didn't play it all out. But yeah, these
you
guys
can
are
kinda
strong as
see-
hell.
You can see some like
Buff, strong dudes.
macho-looking dudes.
They're actual soldiers, probably.
Yeah, and then you get this guy who looks like he's a teenager
Right.
who's just come out of a skin whitening clinic.
We had a discussion about why that might be.
Yeah.
And that's, he definitely came out of a skin whitening clinic. Before you think that's anything derogatory, people do that
No, they
in
do.
Asia.
They do.
So anyway, the reason we think they're appealing, well, I don't know if you agree with me, but we think they're trying to appeal to a different demographic.
Yeah,
of
I think
people,
so.
not like buff macho dudes.
Yeah. So anyway, he's standing in front of a Chinese military transport plane, which is a complete knockoff of a Globemaster 3. Or something along
Transport
those lines.
plane, right?
Yeah. So he's like, miracles are blooming inside.
Yeah, I've seen the real versions of those before.
Yeah. And then he's like, this is China and I won't give up.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do that. Get us out of there. This is China and I won't give up. Faith will never be forgotten.
You're not allowed to have faith in China.
Yeah, you're not.
Well, faith in the party.
Defend your position. We bravely resist foreign enemies. Never forgive those who stand against us. It's just like, Bao Wo, Zhonghua, whatever. Alone for the country. I guess like I'm for the country alone, basically. Assault battlefield. Give my heart to the party.
Yeah, I just wanted to end on that. It gives my heart to the party thing. Yeah, I mean, this is something nationalism has always been promoted when Winston and I were in China, but more recently, they've not been shy to just say, no, it's not really nationalism. No, it's about the party, right? Follow the party.
Yeah.
That was not really a thing, right? When we were there.
Not as much.
Not as much.
It was always there, but
it was kind of cringe to say the Dang all the time. If you say Gongchan Dang, that's like it was kind of like it's not cool.
No.
Now it's like it's thrown around. Like our heart is for the party. Like we live for the party, not for the country necessarily.
That's correct.
It's pretty crazy to see. But we thought it was kind of cringe that the PLA is putting out recruitment songs, because I'm just picturing this. Let's say a hypothetical battlefield here.
Yeah.
Let's say they brush up with Vietnam again, or India.
Yeah.
These guys that are new recruits getting bussed out there, they're like, shit, I'm actually gonna have to put my life on the line. But in their mind, they're singing this song. They're like, and then they get amped up, ready for battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a pretty sad picture you're painting. Yeah, I'll tell you that much. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think using rap as a recruitment tool is kind of lame for the Chinese military, specifically because rap is not a Chinese art form, and neither is the K-pop side of things either.
I don't think rap in general
I don't think rap should be used as a recruitment tool for any military.
For any military is what I was going to say.
Yeah, at all.
At
it's
all.
just really a bad idea.
Good luck. It doesn't seem correct.
Anyway, so now we got another rap to add to the list. It's maybe not as cringe as
it's
some of the other
much better
stuff.
musically.
Yeah, as some of the other stuff we've shown you, but it is just still cringe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway,
So-
that's for all the PLA LARPers out there.
Yeah,
You guys
absolutely.
can have a new tune to jam out to.
Now, before we get into our main segment, which is about how China's youth has been ruined, and we'll explain that to you very shortly. We just have to answer a couple of super chats. So
Yes.
let's
It's our
hit-
pleasure. Square from New Zealand says, does self-deprecating sense of humor exist in China like it does in the West? No. Also, Cars of Playboy soon. We did one not that long ago.
Yeah, you say that. It was like 2 months.
Oh, okay. So self-deprecating sense of humor, it's more slapstick in China.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll get a guy who trips over on purpose, like slapstick stuff.
Yeah, but
And that could be kind of self-deprecating.
yeah, but not in like the British sense.
No, never,
right?
never.
Like taking the piss out of yourself. Not really a thing.
No.
Long time, first time, says John D. Rocky. Thank you both. On a scale of 1 to 10, should I be hopeful about the news of Germany and the South China Sea? I think it's a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
Not because of war aggression or anything, but holding the actual rightful crown of the international waters.
Sure.
For all the countries participating in defending that. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's good
It's
to do.
not just China's. Power Shift says, Paul Beatty says hello from the UK. I believe he probably had a nickname growing up.
Yeah. How's it going, matey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guaranteed,
Matey,
right?
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Paul. Sorry if we overused what you friends always said to you.
Yeah.
They always rhyme stuff.
Yeah, Cockney slangs,
Yeah.
he's a right investment banker,
Right.
he's a right James Blunt.
People can figure that
People
out.
can figure it out anyway. Yeah.
Power Shift says, damn frozen seafood. I see Wuhan is completely locked down again and on
Yeah.
wartime status. CCP says only 3 confirmed cases. So is that 3,000 or 3 million?
I mean, honestly, that's should have been in What's New,
Yeah.
but we figured you've probably seen it in the news. China's
Yeah.
pretty much in full lockdown again. Now, what happened was Jiangjiajie, which is a very famous tourist attraction. It's very beautiful there. At least
that's where
at
they
least-
filmed Avatar.
At least when the tourists aren't there, because they destroy it every year during Chinese New Year, or during any kind of big holiday, National Day holiday. They go and they
It gets
just
crazy.
wreck it.
Yeah.
But it recovers, and then it's really nice. So a bunch of people went there. It was a super spreader event,
Yeah.
and they ended up going back to even into Beijing. And now Beijing has been so far, they've been very careful, and they've been we're impenetrable, nothing's going to happen here. But unfortunately,
Protect the elite.
yeah, unfortunately, there were cases in Beijing, there were cases in Qingdao, there were cases all over the country. And they've had to lock down Wuhan again and test everyone. That means the millions and millions and millions of residents, 10 million plus, whatever, all of them have to get tested again. So it's kind of back to normal. There's panic buying. People are emptying the shelves of the local supermarkets and things like that. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of like the beginnings of the pandemic again. And that's because we've got the Delta variant spreading very quickly. And it's all over the world.
Yeah, I was actually chatting to a Chinese friend of mine, and he said that the problem is that they're not even allowed to talk about it too much. They're actually getting so paranoid because of the first time it happened. A lot of people know people that got in trouble for just not being whistleblowers, just for talking about it too much, in WeChat groups.
Yeah.
Because the Chinese government was really upset when people in a group of 300 or 400 people were like, hey, I heard so-and-so has coronavirus, and they would shut the whole thing down, and they started making it punishable, right? So my friend the other day, he was telling me a lot of people in these groups are paranoid to talk about, but the ones that do, what they're saying over and over again is we went full lockdown. Then we had our big celebration, say, hey, look, we defeated it or whatever. But people remember how harsh the lockdown was. Not just when we always say welding people in their apartments and stuff, I mean, that didn't happen on a large
No,
scale.
but the fact that you couldn't leave your
couldn't
apartment,
leave.
and some people could only allow one member of the household to leave for an hour.
Yeah.
And you had to have a permission slip to
Correct.
go buy your things and come
That's
back
what
in.
I was going to say. So
Yeah.
he was saying a lot of people had not forgotten what happened under the severe lockdown the first time, but a lot of people, the government promoted the celebration and the opening up
Yeah,
so much
it's
to
like-
make people kind of forget about it, right?
Yeah, it's like, we beat this.
We
We're
beat
good.
this.
Yeah.
But now there's inklings of the government doing another straight up crazy lockdown again, and people are not having it this time.
Yeah.
It's not like there's protests happening, but there's people that are very concerned and worried. They're like, we can't do this round two, because China goes, oh, we do this hardcore thing and we suffer. We eat bitter, as they say.
Yeah.
We 我们吃苦了.
Cool. Yeah.
And after we eat bitter, then we can watch the rest of the world suffer while we have freedom to do whatever we want, because we suffered and we did the hard work. It's kind of like studying for a test, right?
Yeah.
I did the hard work and now I can celebrate. I'm done. But it doesn't work when it happens again.
Yeah.
And again and again. These kind of long-term, very crazy, harsh lockdowns, they work maybe once,
Sure.
but they don't work over and over again. The people will get tired of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he was telling me that it's a really catch-22, because people want to complain about it, but they can't.
Sure.
And they're also really concerned about how it's going to be going forward.
Yeah, it's pretty awful situation. So there are a lot of people that are affected in China right now, millions and millions and millions
Yeah.
of people right now that are currently affected by this new outbreak. And again, the government tries to play it out as if it's a foreign thing again, when they say, oh, there were so many domestic infections. And,
Yeah.
you know, like so many, they've blocked foreigners from coming in for so long. It's getting a bit tired now that they keep trying to blame the outside world for bringing COVID into China. It's
Right.
crazy, because we all know it originated from Wuhan, it spread from Wuhan,
Right.
but for some reason they still have convinced everyone that it's an outside problem.
Yeah, after closing their borders.
Yeah.
To
You
everyone.
can't just go to China now,
You have
you
to
know?
have your full-on 21-day quarantine.
Yeah, they're incredibly careful.
Right.
You know, it just so happens that this is a very persistent virus, and you're not going to get rid of it that quickly, especially in such a large population.
I mean, the be-all and end-all of this is that it was never under control to begin with.
No.
China has always had an issue with it, and when people talk, I mean, I'm telling you, there were people in getting it in southern China.
We
right?
saw that director who got fired just because
Yeah.
there was one.
That's
they
correct.
They found one case.
I mean, they found
Right,
one case,
one
yeah.
infectious case, and so the director of the health board or whatever for that area got fired recently.
Right.
And that shows you why they don't report it, because
Yes.
if the government, the central government, or your higher ups find out that there have been COVID infections in your town or your city or your jurisdiction, you lose your job. It's your head on the chopping block. So when you find out that there's like a whole village that's infected, you keep it under wraps.
Correct.
You just say it's a pneumonia outbreak or something else, or you just don't let it get reported officially, because you're going to lose your job.
That's right.
So that's why it seems like everything's always under control. And that's why it looks like it's ravaging the West crazily, is because the numbers are transparent.
Correct.
Anyway. let's move on.
Akosha says, finally made it to your live chat. Keep up the great work. And Bork say, you got to understand China. And then somebody
gotta.
said, Zero Kiryu said, they do understand China. They both lived there for years and married to Chinese ladies. Zero, I appreciate you sticking up for us.
Yeah.
Don't worry, though. That's
It's a
just
joke.
an inside
Yeah,
joke.
it's an inside joke. You got to understand
Understand
China. Anyway, are we going to move on?
Yeah.
Let's move on to soft power hour.
Oh, hold on. Bork
Oh.
said,
Wait, okay.
but does China
we're back.
understand
What's
them
that?
or even us? That was the conversation. Was
Okay,
over. They were
I got
battling through super
I
chats.
got you.
Okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
Soft power hour, where we talk about how the Chinese government is trying to change your mind or affect the way you think about China through various means. Now, this is a big one, because it affects you and it affects me. We've had a hell of a lot of experience in this field, and that is education.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there is $1 billion industry in China, or I should say there was $1 billion industry in China, and that is the education industry. Like you can see in the background, we're showing some footage here. You can't go anywhere in China without seeing some or other language school or some kind of education training center advertised, right?
Yep.
And it's always been the go-to for foreigners as well who go to China, is to, first of all, teach English. But then there's like a step up where, I'm sure you've noticed this as well, right? Foreigners that become fairly successful and they want to branch out, they don't want to be a teacher anymore. What do they normally do? You included.
DJ?
No,
I'm
I
just
mean,
joking. I'm just
no,
joking.
that's, I mean, what they
Start their
usually
own
do-
training center.
Start their own training center.
You know
Usually-
the DJ
yeah,
joke. There's a
Yeah.
thing. It's the
Yeah.
other foreign expert in China.
Exactly.
Yeah, you start your own school.
Yeah, and usually what happens is somebody will, with their wife or their, you're right,
Yes.
with their girlfriend or their Chinese, maybe someone they met and they've become good friends with a business partner. What they end up doing is they'll start a little training center, and it's fairly easy to do.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you talked about the difficulties of. It's very easy to do illegitimately.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need much, right? You put up a bunch of flyers around your 公园. What is a 公园?
It's like Huayuan, maybe, like your garden, your compound, your
or your Huayuan.
your neighborhood.
Yeah, your neighborhood,
basically. So what you do is, and I'm just using this as an example, is I know a lot of people that did it illegitimately, where they just kind of, like you said, put a bunch of flyers around, or they just told people about it, and they started a little training center within their in their apartment. They'll convert one of the rooms into a little classroom.
Yeah.
And they make a lot of money. It's definitely a way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You shouldn't say a lot of money. It's not by Western standards, maybe.
But it's like a step up from being a teacher.
Definitely.
You get to run your own business.
Definitely.
Okay. Now, sometimes it's on a larger scale. Sometimes it's very legit, and you
Sure.
get proper. I know people who ran, proper training centers, which are all set up in a nice big office building or
like
whatever.
huge ones, yeah.
Big on a big scale.
I had max 25 clients. Mine was very small.
Yeah, you had a fairly small training center, but it was a
made decent money. It was okay.
Good business. Anyway, there are huge players like Wall Street English and EF and all of that make huge amounts of money. They've got I think Wall Street has maybe 70 branches, or is that EF? It doesn't matter. They're
big. Yeah.
They're big. Training,
I can check,
whole training and after school extracurricular sort of training thing is massive in China. It's like I said, $1 billion.
300
industry.
branches of EF.
Okay, 300.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's interesting.
300.
The point is, this is driven by.
Someone is saying on your B-roll though you shot all these clips.
Yeah.
If you go back a little bit,
Yeah.
this is going wild in the chat. It's called whole child English. Yeah. They're just laughing.
Yeah, whole child English. Yeah, it is. It's you teach the whole child.
It's in Chinese. What that means is you're teaching
their
their
entire education.
Yeah, not their body.
Whole child English. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Sorry. Yeah.
Wall Street is one of the big international companies that have made it into China. Wall Street and EF are the two big ones. If you ever wanted to teach legitimately and get a good job in China as an English teacher, you'd go to one of those two. Everything else, like Happy Giraffe or whatever else, all a bunch of nonsense. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, this is all because education is one of the most important things in China. And we've discussed this in the past. It's part of the whole family system. The parents and the grandparents will sink all of their hopes and dreams into their single child because of the single child policy. And now maybe 2 children. But they put all of their hopes and dreams, and they want that child to be as educated as possible. Because in China, education is incredibly important when finding a job.
Yeah.
It's more important than anything else. So when you apply for a job, the more education, the higher your scores, the better your education, the better the job you can get.
Can I throw a detail in there?
Yeah.
In America, for example, if you graduate from, Thomas Jones University versus Yale, right? Yeah. Yes, you're going to have more prestige from what university you go to, but by and large, it doesn't really matter where you went to school as long as you got your degree and you did well, right? In China, it absolutely matters where you went to school. If you go to a crap 3rd tier, 8th tier 88 college, then it's almost like not having a degree.
Yeah.
So it's very important that not only do you get a good education, but you go to special training centers like this that put you in an advantage to get into a better school later, a better college.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Gaokao, as we all know, is a very important test that happens every year.
It's like the SATs.
And it really determines whether or not you, as a child, as a high school student, as a whole child, whether you get to go to a good university or a bad university or a university at all.
Yes, that is correct.
If you fail the Gaokao, you don't get to go to a university.
No.
Unless you got super rich parents that can send you abroad to study or something. So education is so important that the normal everyday school education just doesn't cut it. All parents will send their their children to extracurricular training, and it doesn't matter what it is. It can be piano or whatever else, but they send them for extracurricular math, and during any kind of holiday and on the weekends, they send them to various different places, or they have private tutors. This is something that I did back in the day when I was teaching. You're not supposed to do it. It's kind of off the books because you work on your work visa, but everybody does it. Everyone who's worked in China as a teacher has done this before. You get one of the parents will contact you and say, listen, we'll offer to pay you. You come on the weekend to my apartment and you teach like three kids from the neighborhood.
I had bosses. That's
Yeah.
this is personal experience here,
Yeah.
so hopefully we can offer you something different than the news. I had bosses that in my universities. So I would be lead teacher of this university in control of all the other foreigners, right? And in some of these smaller places. And the whole point was like, if I speak Chinese, so I can help them do stuff, right? Now, during those positions, because I was in a semi position of leadership, the boss of the party bosses in some of these schools would kind of let me into their little inner circle. And they would be like, we have the expert, he's the top foreigner in this school. And he'll teach your kid for like a good amount of money, like 600 RMB per hour, like almost $100 an hour.
Yeah, that's high.
It's high, but it's because they can also skim some, right? And they can also say like, he's our top number one.
Yeah, sure.
So you actually get into these positions where it's very illegal. Like you're not allowed to work outside your contract, but the people in the party will use you, the
that's
foreigner,
the thing.
and pass you around basically.
Yeah, and your boss, it's a weird situation.
Yeah.
But anyway, the whole point is that children, let's go back to the kids here because that's who we're trying
whole
to focus
child.
on here. Yeah, the whole child. They have a pretty dismal childhood, I'll be honest with you, because I would be going on the weekends, going around to different places, and the kid's supposed to be having some time off, but they never do. I'm in there at the apartments all over the place, teaching kids for a couple of hours on a Saturday and a Sunday. When they're supposed to be having fun, no, they're studying. And after school as well, they go directly after school into a training center. So for instance, back when I was teaching kindergarten, so this was right in the beginning, I'd be teaching the kindergarten kids. And then just across the way, there was like a training center. And I can't even remember what the hell it was called, but it doesn't matter because it sucked. And I'd go...
It was half-child English, wasn't it?
Half-child English. So I'd go directly after teaching kindergarten, finish my day's work, and I'd go over and work at this training center. And I'd go up in there, and then you'd be training different classes of sort of middle school kids or whatever it is. But the kids, they finish school, and even the kindergartners would have their classes in these training centers too. So the kindergartners, they finish kindergarten, and they go have something to eat quickly. Usually their grandparents pick them up, take them for something to eat, and then they take them directly to their after-school training center. So the kids are just being, stuck in this like study regime. It's terrible, and they only get like back home really late, and then they still have to do homework.
Yeah, so I would have kids that would show up. I mostly did adults, mostly trained adults.
Sure.
And
I would hope so.
And whole children.
Yes, whole children.
So they would send their whole child to my school. I only had a few whole children, but they would be the ones that came the latest. You would think it would be the adults, right? No, they would come. And my secretary would let him into the whatever, and I would only want to play games with him at that point because I felt so bad. Because I would say, how was your day? They went to school. They got out at like 5 or 6 or something. They quickly scarfed something down. Then they had piano, and then they had math, and then they had my class. So we're talking about they're showing up at my office like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
And then they're like, teacher, I'm so tired. And then they go home and do their homework.
I know. How old are these kids?
Gosh. Like 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the problem is
10, 12, yeah.
It's kind of like slavery in a way, if the way I used to see it. It's awful for these young children. But, by the time they get to college, it calms down. Like, university is just a free ride. They don't actually have to do any work in university. Like, they just kind of coast through. And that's just how that system works. Once you're in university, you're guaranteed to pass. You don't actually need to put much effort into it. But everything leading up to university is a nightmare for children. Okay. But because there's such a hyper-focus on education in China, these companies that open up, these training centers that open up, make a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
Because it is such a big focus, the family will spend a huge amount of money on it because they want their child to have that competitive edge. And that's the whole point behind these training centers, right? So whether it is an English training center or a language training center, those are the ones that we were mostly involved in.
Yeah.
Or mathematics or whatever else.
Yeah,
it
they
is.
all exist.
Yeah, exactly. They formed this over $1 billion industry in China. Okay,
it's crazy.
Now, recently, the Chinese government, I mean recently as in like a couple of weeks ago,
Right.
last month, they said, no, okay, that's it. We are no longer going to have this situation happening anymore. And they basically cut any kind of funding to these things. It's not allowed to be for profit anymore. They're cutting the hours down. These training centers are not allowed to operate on weekends. They're not allowed to operate on holidays. All this kind of nonsense, which sounds good. It sounds like it's good for the kids, but it's actually, that's not the reason they're doing this. Let's go through some of the reasons why the Chinese government has decided to step in and actually shut these things down.
Well, should we say what they're saying the reasons are?
Sure.
One of them is to promote childbirth. Now, how would you explain that? How does that make sense?
It's pretty straightforward. You see, the Chinese government has a demographic issue on their hands. We all know this. Most people know this, that they really are running out of able-bodied, like worker-age people.
Demographic collapse is coming.
Yeah, it's coming. So they put out this 2-child policy. That doesn't work. People don't really want to have it. So then they're like, 3-child policy. Go ahead, have as many kids as you want. And they're like, nah.
Now it's whatever.
Yeah,
Free for all.
Yeah, just have as many as you want. And people are like, no, we're not going to have kids because it's too expensive to raise.
We can't afford it.
Yeah, we can't afford to raise kids. And it's really expensive to raise a child in China, especially with the massive housing costs and all the other crap that's going on. So the Chinese government, in their weird way of thinking, they reckon, okay, why is it expensive to raise a child? I know why, because people are paying so much money for all this extra education. What if that didn't cost money or if it wasn't there? Then they'd have more income to have more children. And that's honestly the main reason behind this, as far as we can tell, is they just want more kids to be born, and they don't want that excuse of it's expensive to raise a child to be around anymore.
And that's not going to work. And this is something, again, we'd like to be more than a headline. So we can tell you something we've been saying 100,000 billion times.
Yeah.
China only does, the CCP only does something until it's way too late.
Well,
right?
that's the... They only do something.
That's what I'm saying.
it's
They
too
only
late.
do something until it's way too late. And people always say, oh, it's great. One of the advantages of having an authoritarian country or a dictatorship is that at least stuff gets done fast, right?
Yeah.
The problem is, the way China operates is that stuff gets so bad that they have to do something that's not even organic. It's not organic to go cancel a bunch of schools.
No.
It's not organic to go, here comes the hammer down. Now we're going to ban after-school education, right? That doesn't work like that. Chinese people are not going to be okay with that. No. That's not going to make them wake up tomorrow and say, hey, we're going to have more kids. No. This is some bizarre knee-jerk reaction that they had in some stupid low-level or high-level party meeting where people can't disagree with each other, and the yes man gets to walk away with his solution that he probably came up with at the last minute, even though the educational minister was probably trying to keep his eye, or supposed to keep his eye on this entire situation, and never did, because he was too busy drinking baijiu and too busy being corrupt and taking bribes that he didn't actually do his job. And this happens across the board. This is how China works. Yeah. Why else do you see China in the headlines so often? Normal countries, you're not going to see in the headlines very often about government policy because it's boring. It's something that happens over a period of time. It's like steering a ship, right? Yeah. China, you see these crazy things. I mean, my mom sent me an article about this today. Yeah. There's no reason my mom should know about Foreign Ministry of Education in China. Yeah. But it becomes massive headlines because of the most inane, drastic measures that the CCP does when it's too late. They do the same thing with motorcycles. They let the problem get out of control, and then they have to have this archaic ban. The street vendors, they come in and get rid of everyone.
Peer-to-peer lending.
Peer-to-peer lending. Cancel everything. Make it illegal. Completely illegal. Ban people. Jail people.
Yeah, Bitcoin.
All this stuff. They have to come up with very harsh ways of dealing with something because it's too late. And oftentimes, it's not a solution for the problem at hand. Yeah. Just like we're seeing right here. Right? It's insane, and I don't think this is a long-term solution for China, and it's going to have huge ramifications, which we'll talk about right now.
Yeah, well, okay, look, there's a couple of things that we have to add on to this. Now, China, for I should say Xi Jinping and the CCP, for quite a while now, have been trying to get rid of any foreign influence in schools, all right? For instance, banning any kind of foreign materials. And any kind of foreign materials that come in had to be censored anyway and looked into. But now they just want to get rid of all foreign training materials. They want less foreign teachers. You know, they really are trying to close down, and it's very disheartening to see this happen. This is part of it, because a lot of these training centers, they hire foreigners, and you know, they've got foreign teachers. That's the appeal. Okay.
Yes.
But now what they've also done is they've also targeted online training as well.
Yeah.
Now, before we even continue with this, the Chinese government comes out with all sorts of new laws and new decrees every so often, and usually it doesn't have any impact. They'll say, we're going to change this, but it's just a face move, and nothing really results from it. But
that's why we've never taken that kind of stuff seriously.
But this time there are results.
Yeah.
I've been reached out. I'm going to read a couple of things here. For instance, here we go. Somebody reached out to me. I'm not going to share their identity, of course, because I don't want anyone to get into trouble. But they said, if you need an insight into just how the recent regulations on extracurricular classes are affecting teachers working from outside of China, I'm free to comment. Our company just informed us of the terms of what can be described as a slow wind down to state-sponsored redundancy. Okay. The ban on hiring foreigners outside of China means anyone's contracts will not be renewed. So once you reach the end, that is your lot. He's talking about doing this online teaching. Now, you've got all that, what is it, VIP English, ABC English, all this kind of stuff. And
there's thousands of them.
Yeah, it's become a big industry now where you don't have to be in China to teach anymore.
Yeah, you can teach from here.
It makes sense with the coronavirus and everything.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So it's kind of like you have a Zoom call, but, you know, it's not really Zoom. They now use their own built-in in-house
And you have
apps.
Curriculum.
Yeah, you have curriculum.
Oh, by the way, the CCB watches you when you're doing that.
Yeah. Just so you know. He said they've put a stop to all new trial classes, which were the free class they offered to parents to help them see how the children would react to the online classroom environment. So those have all stopped. So with no new classes and a stop to the hiring process of new teachers, the goal is to work through all the ongoing classes until all the individual courses are completed. Okay, and then that's just going to be the end of it. He says, I've been working for this company since XYZ. I don't want to give out his details, but some veterans have been teaching with them for 7+ years. They've seen all the iterations the courses have gone through, from the ad hoc Skype Zoom calls to the more recent version of using an in-house developed app. Mm-hmm. Not all of my students were middle-class kids, but quite a few were. One of them I recently learned is actually the son of a diplomat. And he said, I forgot to mention that 2/3 of the staff at the Beijing headquarters have been laid off over the past few days. So the company is down to only those who need to keep things running for as long as possible. So
they're ramping down.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's from the online teaching and, of course, the headquarters there as well. I've got other friends who teach for training centers and stuff who've been sharing, and I can't share this information with you on the screen, but they're sharing WeChat posts from their bosses saying that, sorry, we're cutting all the foreign classes out. We're, going to cut your hours down to XYZ, or we're just not going to have, classes.
They're getting rid of a lot of the foreign teachers.
It's insane. They've basically told private businesses that you have to become non-profits. You cannot be for profit anymore. You're not allowed to have foreign teachers anymore. A lot of them you can't hire any more foreigners. So it's actually having an impact. And this always happens with Chinese laws and regulations. It's always a it's a hearsay thing. It's a weird situation.
It's a bit of a Limp Bizkit situation.
Yeah, exactly. What you have to do is you actually have to know people and talk to people, and they'll tell you, oh yeah, look, our training center just closed this. You can never really get a clear picture of it.
You're giving me like PTSD about thinking about how never knowing what the policy actually is.
Yeah, and so what we can tell you anyway, from our point of view, knowing people who've reached out to us and people that run training centers and so on, is that it is real.
Yeah.
And that it is affecting jobs. There are millions of jobs on the line here across China. Not only that, but things like investments, foreign investments. This has been a big sector for foreigners to invest in, is this whole, the whole tutoring and training center thing. So, a lot of foreign investors are now out of money. Their stocks have dropped drastically because of this new law coming into effect. Again, a big warning. Don't invest in China. Don't do it unless you're 100% sure you know what you're dealing with, because the laws can change like this. I'm pretty sure a lot of people that were investing money in these training centers and things didn't expect that all of a sudden they would be made redundant, you know?
No.
So it's getting to a point where it's pretty crappy, and it's going to be bad for the kids too, because, you know, this is not going to put an end to it.
No. We're gonna see a massive gray market open up.
Yeah, a black market.
A black market. So we had some theories here. You'll see China often do things to get around. Like, for example, when they started selling sex toys, right?
Yeah.
The government didn't want to outwardly ban sex toys because there's a huge sex toy industry in China, and they have all these expos and stuff. And there's factories at the wazoo.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, you're making a ton of these, let's say, dildos or something, right?
Right.
That you're exporting to the West. There are a ton of them that don't make the cut that you could sell domestically, right? So the right palms were greased, and they never ended up getting banned. However, they didn't want them out in the open, right? So that, you know, originally what was called a sex shop is now called like an adult shop, and it has to have a curtain and stuff like this.
亲人用品.
Yeah, or
it just means like tools for lovers, basically.
Yeah, tools for lovers.
Yeah,
I've seen 成人用品 as well, which means like adult tools.
Right.
Anyway, so you'll see ways around that. Now, that's one that was done successfully. This has been a full-on ban.
Yeah.
So what this is you're going to see people. We came up with a funny one that might not be far-fetched, but you'll have a foreigner that is teaching you how to play accordion instead, right? And it's like a music lesson class, right?
Yeah.
That somehow is like allowed. But what you'll see is the accordion is in the corner, and then actually there's a desk, and they're just teaching English.
Well, there's some people that run training centers. They've been joking around about how what they'll probably end up doing is setting up a dance class or something, but it's all taught in English or something like that to try and get around it. You will get this. Don't forget that there's a lot of sort of black market training going on anyway. Like I mentioned, those private classes that I used to teach.
Yeah.
That's not on the radar anywhere.
No.
I got paid cash in hand.
Me too.
You know, you go to someone's apartment. They're not coming to your apartment, so you may as well just be like a guest coming around for tea, you know. How do they know? So that's still going to thrive. There's still going to be ways. The problem is it's just going to make things a lot more expensive for the parents now, because now they're going to have to pay extra because the demand's going to be higher. Because think about it, if there's no longer a training center for them to send their kids to, they want to hire a foreign teacher or any kind of teacher to come in. Math teacher. It could be a local Chinese teacher, professor, whatever. That person's going to be in so much demand around that neighborhood that he's going to be able to charge a very high price. You know, so you know, a lot of what I used to do as well. You'd go and one of the parents would set up in their room and have all the kids from the neighborhood come, and you'll have that kind of thing going on. But it'll be in so much demand that it's going to end up being more. It'll have the opposite effect of what they want. It'll end up costing the parents more money to educate their children, because that whole I don't know how to put it, but that whole thinking and that whole culture of putting so much emphasis on your child's education is not going to go away.
No.
So they're just being dumb, as usual.
Now this is also a huge symptom of something much bigger, and this is probably what you won't read in the headlines. This is a sign of China closing down. Now, what Winston talked about is probably not going to be successful, full on successful. We are seeing actual ramifications of this law, but. Throw the gray area stuff aside. This is actually just a symptom of China closing off more than it already was. China is now in a period of actually just shutting down to the outside world. I genuinely believe we're going to see going forward that China does not go into another period of opening up and gradually closes down more and actually shuts out the rest of the world. Unless it's some Belt and Road Initiative countries that are being friendly to it. So this is another symptom of, hey, we don't want you here anymore, foreigners. And we've been saying this for maybe 2 years now, but this year especially, I really, really would advise against considering China for employment if you are a foreigner. Things are just going to get worse, and the xenophobia is going to go up, not down. There is not, despite what the CCP's propaganda says about wanting to be an international player and understand the world, that is not what's happening in China. It's the opposite. And it's actually having an effect on another law that you won't read about in the news, which you can go forward to.
Let's bring this up, because this is kind of part of everything. So we're just going through all this random... here we go.
So we found some documents from the Shanghai Education Board.
Yeah.
And Shanghai is kind of... I mean, I guess you guys know what Shanghai is.
It's the most international city of China. it's called the Pearl of the Orient, or, it used to be called the Whore of the Orient. It's had many different names, but whatever. We all know that Shanghai has always been the most sort of international, most cosmopolitan, most sophisticated city of China. And even to this day, when you watch Chinese TV, they like to glamorize the 1930s and, like what it was like back then. And it is, and it has always been the biggest international city. So usually when you have these more kind of draconian lockdown things or these rules, they do affect China, but Shanghai kind of always isn't part of that. You get shops and international chains in Shanghai that you won't find anywhere else in the country, for instance. It's always been an exception.
Yeah, there's a little bit of lore, CCP lore for you guys out there. The Shanghai Faction, it's called.
Yeah.
And the Shanghai version or the faction of the CCP is very much in like, let's let corruption go rampant and capitalism, whatever, that's fine.
Sure.
We'll let the people kind of do what they want. That's Jiang Zemin.
Yeah.
His
Jiang
faction.
Zemin,
Yeah, the guy
zombie
the guy that's very, very old. He's my
Yeah.
favorite CCP leader just because he's such a character.
Yeah, you'll recognize him. He looks like a frog.
Yeah, and he speaks English.
Yeah.
You'll see him on YouTube in old Mike Wallace interviews and stuff. But anyway, so the Shanghai faction is very much opposed to the Xi Jinping faction, the current faction that's in power. They're quite pro-capitalism stuff. They're not by no means saints, by the way.
Sure.
Just throwing that out there. But the Shanghai faction has made Shanghai kind of the place that's different than the rest of China. Yeah, it's in mainland China, and yes, if you were like me or you wouldn't be safe in Shanghai. The national law still affects there.
Sure.
But by and large, people get away with more in Shanghai than they would in other parts of China.
Yeah, and it's really a different place. It's very different to
Yes.
most of China.
You don't feel necessarily like you're full on in China.
It's kind of like New York is not
Right.
representative of America.
You wouldn't say, "Oh, I've been to New York City." It's just like Texas
Or Arizona.
or Arizona or
Yeah,
something, right?
Exactly.
So we found these documents, and actually, what they're saying is that in primary school,
Yeah.
in elementary school, for you Americans out there, they are going to institute Xi Jinping thought as part of the curriculum.
Must be.
And I actually was talking to Winston about this. I don't think most people are going to react like too crazily about that, but you have to understand what the implications of this are.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what Xi Jinping thought is, we'll go through the 14, just very summarize it for you. But, this is a problem with these kind of dictators and these crazy personality cults, is you get someone who comes along who suddenly thinks that his thought is now something that everybody must follow. I mean, think about it. Mao Zedong had his little red book. Everybody had to carry around this little red book, which wave around like this, and it has quotations and poems and stuff of Mao Zedong.
Xi Jinping has his app.
Yeah. Xi Jinping has an app. Gaddafi had his little green book.
Correct. Exactly the same.
And it's just a bunch of ramblings of a crazy madman who's drunk on power, and he needs his citizens, and everyone else must follow him. And, they did. If you look at Mao Zedong, how he whipped everyone up into this fever, and they all used to carry around his red book and worship him and worship this book. This is what Xi Jinping wants. Now,
Correct.
If you are a government employee in China already, you have to take a test all the time to see if you know Xi Jinping thought properly. You have to do this thing on your phone. It's like
So
an
many
app.
people cheat.
Yeah, they cheat. But every day you have to, read the Xi Jinping thought. You have to do it.
Back then, when I used to go to, I often go to Chinese government websites to find material for us. And before, it would be like this commie shit that you would always see with the
usual
dubs flying
nonsense,
around,
yeah.
hammer and sickles. But now, on a lot of these, it says Xi Jinping thought, and it has Xi Jinping clapping with the clouds. And it precedes everything that you read.
He is becoming the most important thing in China.
Yeah.
Well, he is the most important thing. And
More important than communism.
Yeah, than the party or
Yeah.
anything. He is, and his thought, it's almost like he's trying to elevate himself to the level of a godlike, being.
Absolutely.
Which is
that's
what,
the cloud imagery and
yeah,
stuff.
and that's what you found with Mao Zedong and what you found with tons of other dictators in the past. So we're going to go through, we're going to read you.
Just put it on the next slide first, because
Okay.
I just want people to understand
We'll
what it
see.
would look like for some imagery.
Yeah.
And you'll find it around on banners everywhere. This is something we started seeing, and it's weird. I didn't see Xi Jinping thought stuff pop up in China in even at the beginning of his leadership.
Yeah.
I saw it pop up towards the
the
end of
end.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I started seeing it more in 2017 and 2018.
Yeah, in 2019 is when
Definitely,
I noticed in my neighborhoods and stuff more of the communist symbols and more of the what you see in the background.
We started getting it in 2017 and where I lived.
Yeah.
Just they usually start out in smaller places.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, you'll see a lot of the banners about Xi Jinping thought and stuff, and this is the English translation.
Why do they have to have like the Shijiu Da? Why is it always going to be like the 19 big this? It's always, whatever.
It's always like the 4 big principles, the 6 bads.
Yeah, exactly.
Strike down the 2 evils.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to go through these 14. We'll read them to you and try to give you an explanation.
Yeah, so the 14 principles of Xi Jinping thought, and this is, again, so you can get an understanding of what the principles of this are.
Now, of course, this is what children have to learn now in middle school in Shanghai and everywhere in the country.
And this is replacing things like English, right?
Yeah.
There's no, I forgot to bring this up.
Yeah.
They're actually getting rid of the English final exam for the primary school students. And they're starting this in Shanghai. That's a big deal because you're telling the world we don't want to be part of the international community anymore. We're not going to focus on English.
They're terribly worried that through the language, the ideas and the thoughts of the Western world might, permeate the minds of the children. You see,
I mean, you already had a huge problem with English level. Like, oh my gosh, don't even get me started on China's like their English aptitude test. That actually they get into international statistics with this somehow that ranks them higher than like Taiwan. Can you tell me who has better English, China or Taiwan? I mean, it's
of course Taiwan, but it's crazy. What they do is they say China has the largest amount of English speakers in the world, which is true because of the population.
Yeah.
But when you say English speakers, you're talking about people that can say, "Hello, my name is."
Yes, there are people that speak good English.
Absolutely.
But by and large, China's English program is way below most other countries I've been to.
Most Chinese people that I know are fairly good at reading and writing English because they have that rote memorization and that's how they learn. But when it comes to spoken English, it's a huge issue. And no one can ever try to pretend that China has a good aptitude of English because we have traveled around the entire country.
Right.
And if we couldn't speak Chinese, we would never be understood wherever we went.
No.
The only place people speak English to any level of like normalcy that you could consider to be kind of on an international level are in places like Shanghai and Beijing.
Yes, and what I wanted to say is the countries that have this English aptitude survey, right, that go into this ranking, they test the whole country. Yeah. You know what China does? They test like a city in Zhejiang and like Shanghai or so. They hand pick these parts and like this represents our entire country. And it's like the elite schools of these areas.
It's crazy.
Anyway, so these are the 14 principles of Xi Jinping thought. This will be taught to every child
and obviously
from primary
in depth.
school.
We're just going through the headings of these. So the first one says, ensuring Chinese Communist Party leadership over all forms of work in China.
You have to understand, this is the doctrine of current China. Not make money, not let's get rich together, not let's all be happy and
ensure the Chinese Communist Party leadership over all forms of work in China.
All forms.
You read the second one.
The Chinese Communist Party should take a people-centric approach for the public interest. What does that even mean?
I don't really know. A people-centric approach. So I guess they're trying to say the Communist Party is for the people,
Of course, the People's Republic of China.
Yeah. Okay, the third one, the continuation of comprehensive deepening of reforms.
So some of the reforms, this is an issue.
Yeah.
Xi Jinping is alluding to this idea. This gets pretty deep, but it alludes to the fact that under Deng Xiaoping, which is the leader after Chairman Mao, under Jiang Zemin and under Hu Jintao, there was a necessary period where China needs to get wealthy and just experiment with capitalism, right? And this is always the fear is that, well, I was going to say that the thing that made people so excited about the future of China is that they thought they'll stay in this period forever. And because of capitalism, because of freedom, because of wealth, they'll break out of it and democratize and liberalize. Right. The problem is in the Constitution of China, it's always been, we're going to play with money for a little while. Yeah. And then when we get to a certain level, we'll go back into Marxist socialism. Yeah. And the deepening of reforms, this is what Xi Jinping thought is that we've already done that experimental period. Yeah. And you'll see this later in the in the 14 principles. But Xi Jinping had to declare victory over poverty so he could officially say, we've done that part. Yes. We don't need to get any richer anymore. The Chinese dream is to be moderately prosperous, not rich. Yeah. And now we can go into a hardcore Marxist socialist system.
Now we can reform into the bad stuff. That's kind of what he's going for. Anyway, the next one is adopting new science-based ideas for innovative, coordinated, green, open, and shared development.
And that's why you see so many green lies
Yes.
in China. They have to do it. It's in Xi Jinping thought. So there's actual departments of the government that will go out there and actually adhere to a certain principle. And one of those is we have to be the world leader of green technology.
Meanwhile, they're opening up more coal power
Right.
plants than anywhere else in the world, outputting more carbon into the atmosphere than ever before, and more than all developing countries combined.
Right.
It's ridiculous. But for some reason, these morons out there on the internet keep saying,
Thank you for bringing that up.
Look at China with its great green initiatives.
Yeah.
It's so much better than the US. It's so much better than...
What are you talking about?
It's bullshit. It's all smoke and mirrors. They keep saying, look,
Quite literally.
we are doing, it's a lot of smoke. Yeah.
And a lot of mirrors that look like
no, they use the
solar
mirrors for the
panels.
solar panels, yeah. They say, look, what we're doing, we're having all these green initiatives. We have all these great plans that we're doing, and we're doing this and doing this. But what they don't say is that, yeah, we may be doing all this stuff, but at the same time, we're also destroying the environment in an astronomical way.
Non-reversible way.
Completely. So they're not actually better at anything. They're worse when it comes to the environment. In the
worst way
just-
you can think.
You have no idea. If you look at the actual data rather than listening to these stupid
Yeah.
fluff pieces, oh, look at this great solar farm, look at this great, planting trees thing or whatever. If you actually look at the damage that they're doing, it far, far outstrips any of these programs. And all these programs are badly implemented anyway, and they're not to the benefit of anyone, really.
No.
It's ridiculous what they're doing.
I had an argument the other day with someone. I think I brought this up last time, but was arguing with someone about this, and they were like, well, the U.S. is getting worse with carbon emissions, whereas China is becoming a leader in reduction. And I literally look up the graph. You can look up the gosh darn graph.
Sure.
And China is off the gosh darn charts,
Yeah.
whereas America is receding
Yeah.
and actually becoming carbon conscious. So
Yeah.
what doesn't matter where you stand on that issue. China's getting worse at carbon, and America's getting better.
Yeah.
It's empirically proven.
Well, and Europe and all that too.
Of course, I just said it just based on that argument. Right?
Yeah, I got you.
So the next one is following socialism with Chinese characteristics, with people as the masters of the country. Now
Select a few people.
that's the joke, right?
Yeah.
Now socialism with Chinese characteristics, for those of you that don't know, is we are the Communist Party of China, right? But we're just going to be an authoritarian capitalist society because all the commies will be like, what the hell? Like, why are you guys using free market
Yeah,
capitalism?
why are you buying LV bags and stuff? What's going on?
So the Chinese characteristics is actually, we're going to be socialists, but we're not going to give you any social programs.
Yeah.
But we'll still have full authority over your life.
Yeah, we're going
That's
to be
what that
communists, but
Yeah.
you're not actually going to get any benefits of communism.
My favorite are these
Yeah.
TikTok propagandists. A lot of tankies and a lot of the Chinese propagandists, like the actual Maos.
Yeah.
And what they'll say is, how dare people call China communist? We're not communists. We can go buy stuff. We can do this. It's like, dude, your party's called the Communist Party
Sure.
of China.
Sure.
You can't get around that.
I mean, at the end of the day, whenever you see this with Chinese characteristics thing, it's just an excuse.
Yeah.
All it means is we're going to do whatever we want, and we can change things up. We're not going to adhere to anything. We just do whatever we want, and if you complain about it, we'll just say, well, it's because it's with Chinese characteristics.
Correct.
Yeah. It's that kind of thing. It's kind of like Olympics of Chinese characteristics or something.
Correct.
Okay, so what's next? We have governing China with rule of law. Okay, yeah, but I mean, still, this is Xi Jinping's thought. What a thought to have! Imagine governing a country with rule of law. I mean, the fact that it's a thought means it's not a reality. Okay, it's just, I would like China to be governed by rule of law.
Yeah.
That's my thought. This is what we have to teach kids in school because it's not a reality.
The reality is they oftentimes say things.
Yes.
And then at the end of the day, it's projection for what you don't do.
Yes.
There is no rule of law in China. There's no independent judiciary.
No.
So you can't have a rule of law.
No.
It's whatever the party says.
Yes, if they want you to be guilty, you're guilty, and you can't fight that.
That's not a rule of law.
No, you hire a lawyer, they get put in jail too.
Yes, to be a lawyer in China is horrifying.
It's just, why would anyone even try?
And people do.
Yeah, I don't know why.
They're like the first scapegoat of any problem.
It's the worst.
Next one is practice socialist core values. Those are those are our favorite. We should have put up.
Oh,
a
we should have
picture.
put those up. Socialist core
I'll
values.
I'll pull
yeah,
them
you
up.
can pull them up. Yeah, we'll read through those very quickly. So practice socialist core values, including Marxism, communism, and socialism with Chinese characteristics.
Meaning
Again.
none of those things.
Yes.
Just authoritarianism.
Okay, here are the core socialist values that China puts up. And you
And
see these signs.
everywhere.
We've got footage of these signs. They're all over the place, like train stations and stuff. So what are they?
The first one is prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is democracy.
So wait, democracy is a core socialist value?
Apparently, when you're a 9 out of 100 and ranked like the third lowest in the world for freedom,
I just didn't think it was a core socialist value.
apparently a core socialist value is democracy.
Yeah, okay.
Civility,
I like that.
harmony, of course.
It's all got to be about social harmony. Yeah.
Hexie.
Yeah.
Hexie is like the go-to. Harmony is the go-to Chinese word for the Communist Party.
And if you disrupt that harmony, you go to jail.
go
So
to
that
jail.
can mean anything.
Yeah. Next one is freedom.
Okay.
Equality. Justice. Well, equality unless you're only a Han majority.
Yeah.
Definitely not if you're a
And,
minority.
yeah, if you're a man in the Communist Party.
Yeah. Justice. Rule of law. Here we go again.
Yeah.
Patriotism, dedication, integrity, and friendship.
Super friendly country. We've seen that recently.
Very, very friendly. So that's in
Yeah,
there.
so practice core socialist values, including Marxism, communism, and socialism with Chinese characteristics.
Right.
Okay, next one is?
Improving people's livelihood and well-being is the primary goal of development.
Improving people's
That's a quote, by the way.
It's a quote,
from Xi Jinping.
from Xi Jinping. Improving people's livelihood and well-being is the primary goal of development.
Let me think about that for a second. That's definitely not common sense. No. That is definitely an abstract thought. I'm glad he came up with that.
Yeah, exactly. Next one is coexist well with nature, with energy conservation and environmental protection policies, and contribute to global ecological safety. That is the worst thing for China to be saying. I'm sure we all know what's been going on with the flooding, and that's due to the bad damming practices when it comes to diverting rivers. Mao Zedong himself was the one who said we must conquer nature. He killed all the sparrows. Look at
That attitude exists today.
Yeah, look at what's going on with the illegal fishing fleets, which are, of course, state-sponsored and condoned. It's like a militia that go out and destroy the Earth's, oceans. Look at the way wildlife is treated in China. This is just saying something for the sake of saying it. This has got nothing to do with what actually happens in China. It really annoys me because when it comes to actual environmental protection and the fact that, okay, there are no animal abuse laws in China. There are none. No. You can beat your dog to death, set it on fire in public, and you will have nothing done to you. So how is this coexist well with nature shit? Where is this coming from? It's not a Chinese.
This isn't Xi Jinping thought. It's Xi Jinping's lie.
This is ancient Chinese thought.
Yes.
And that's the thing. The ancient Chinese wouldn't dam up the rivers because they would create reservoirs and dams, but they wouldn't divert and damage the rivers because they believed in nature and balance and harmony. And somewhere along the line, things went terribly wrong, and you've got Chairman Mao destroying things and Xi Jinping following on. Okay, so what's next?
And again, some people might play devil's advocate and say, hey, at least Xi Jinping is trying to get back on track. No. The domination of nature and all of the Maoist principles that made Mao who he is what Xi Jinping's doing again.
Look, they're building new dams, starving other countries of water, like Vietnam, etc.
Ramping up fossil fuel output.
Yeah, it's not good. This whole harmony thing with nature or something is a bunch of bollocks. Anyway, let's move on to the next one, which of course is what you'd expect. But this is Xi Jinping's next thought, guys. What did he think?
What do you think it might be? Well, it's strengthen the national security of China. And this is the one that it's very important for you guys to understand because this is the one that made us super nervous. And I say this because under the other leaders of China, sans Mao, this aggressive mentality, at least there was a facade of China is always going to be a peaceful country.
Yes.
We do our own thing, and you might disagree with the way we do things, but we will never be an aggressor. And as a foreigner, you could actually almost believe that. To be honest, there wasn't a whole lot of military presence. There wasn't a lot of focus on...
And they're constantly building up their military and stuff.
But not like they are now.
No.
And now... the optics are on. We are a military country, and we're going to F you up.
Yeah, right? We're going to have raps,
We're going to have raps with the PLA. And the reason I say it concerned us is because the national security of China is where the paranoia came about.
Yeah.
Xi Jinping brought about the SWAT team. They brought about the detectives that would follow us around. They brought about the minders. Yeah, we always had minders by law, but it was very lazily done.
Sure.
Under Xi Jinping thought, the national security of China means that we are now constantly watched in anything we do, and we're not even doing anything wrong.
Journalists are being expelled, all that kind of thing.
That's national security. It's actually just should be called.
So is this whole thing that they're getting rid of, the foreign teachers. And,
Correct.
And checking English and getting rid of all foreign materials that are, for teaching and things.
Right. And I would relabel number 10 called strengthen national security of China. I would actually call that strengthen the national xenophobia and paranoia of China.
Yeah, that's true. All right, number 11 says
This is important.
the Chinese Communist Party should have absolute leadership over China's People's Liberation Army. Okay.
This is a bit of a, let's say, a good and a bad, because the People's Liberation Army is so powerful, and the generals they wield so much more power than a lot of CCP officials do, that it would, they're chomping at the bit to have a war. They're chomping at the bit to actually get into some military conflict, because think about it, you could amp up your budget, more corruption, more power for you.
Yeah.
They've almost made warlords out of some of these generals, right? So to consolidate that under the party, I guess, has prevented some conflict. That being said, now you have ultimate servitude and no options for anything else except for them to listen to Xi Jinping. And that's dangerous in itself, because what Xi Jinping says as supreme commander of the military, and that goes.
Yeah, he's made himself supreme commander. Previously it was a different thing. The government body of the CCP and the People's Liberation Army were kind of two different organizations that would, obviously they deal with each other and they're part of the same country and all that, but they were actually separate. So what the CCP said could be vetoed by the PLA.
Right.
But it can no longer be like that.
No.
The Communist Party has, like it says over there, absolute leadership over. Imagine you have to teach children in school. This is one of the things. Children have to study in school that the Chinese Communist Party should have absolute leadership over the People's Liberation Army.
7-year-olds.
Why should they learn that? Shouldn't this be behind closed doors? Why does this have to be out there? Why does it have to be a thing that it's on billboards and, like Xi Jinping thought everyone has to learn? It's ridiculous. It's insecurity, right?
It is. Number 12 is promoting the one country, two systems system for Hong Kong and Macau with the future of complete national reunification, and to follow the one China policy and the 1992 consensus for Taiwan. So again, he's made it doctrine that he's going to take back Taiwan.
Yeah, you got to take back Taiwan, Hong Kong and Macau.
And screw over Hong Kong and Macau.
I mean, I like how he says the one party, two system, but then they don't actually adhere to it. They've
within the same sentences, follow the one China policy.
Yeah, and follow the one China policy. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Next one, establish a common destiny between Chinese people and other people around the world with a peaceful international environment.
Well, you're not following that one, Mr. Xi.
No.
Very well.
What's this common destiny? Maybe the common destiny is that they all have to be ruled by the CCP.
That sounds like it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, why else would you be infiltrating every Western democracy?
Yeah.
And censoring on behalf of them, right?
Yeah. And what's his last one?
Improve party discipline in the Chinese Communist Party. So that basically, actually not just basically, that means you follow Xi Jinping.
Yeah, I like that he has to think about these things. What we really need to do is improve party discipline in the Chinese Communist Party. And not only am I going to think about this, but I'm going to write books about it. And I'm going to make this like every kid has to learn this, and every person who works for the government has to take tests on this every day. And we're just going to have to put this out there.
Agreed. If you don't think that Xi Jinping is Chairman Mao 2.0, then you've lost.
The fact of the matter is that all of these so-called thoughts of his is just crap anyway. It's really just...
it's lies and projection.
I mean, it could really just be a government policy. Why does it have to be his thought?
Well, because he sees himself as God.
But that's what I'm saying. This could just literally be the rules for the Communist Party, and that's it. But it's his thought to think about these things, And now everyone has to listen to his crappy thoughts.
Right. So we're going to get into some super chats here.
Oh yeah, we better get.
We're running way over.
Yeah, sorry, we've been going on. But look, this is at the end of the day why we say the Chinese youth is ruined is because first of all, their options for doing any kind of extracurricular activities
that could potentially open their mind.
Yeah, is now being cut off.
Right.
No longer are we allowed to have foreign textbooks and things like that be taught, which is ridiculous. Think about that. Imagine you couldn't have a foreign textbook in America, imagine like you couldn't read that Japanese textbook. No, it's not allowed anymore. Or whatever textbooks have been completely like,
It's 1984.
Yeah, no foreign influence is allowed. So it's cutting out all foreign influence. It's going to just turn these kids into mindless, stupid nationalist drones.
Well, that's the goal.
Yeah, and on top of that, what they're going to have to do is study Xi Jinping's boring-ass thoughts in his stupid mind, which are just rubbish things
He's a
about
pig farmer.
Marxism and, communism and the party must be strong and all this. That's what the children of now, not even the future, the
2021.
children now in 2021 in China have to learn.
Yeah.
They're ruined.
Yeah.
Let's get on to the super chats.
That was well said. Yeah. Jonathan K says, Winston, your mom's story was scary. She's a strong woman. And at the same time, I was trying to think, do you look more like your father or mother? Well, you'll find out because he's about to post his father's.
My dad's story's coming next week.
I think you might look more like your mom.
Maybe.
Maybe
It's
a little.
tough, yeah.
That's tough. I'm a good mix. You're a good mix. Max Ong says, hi, I've been a long-time subscriber from Singapore. I stay up late to send this. I wish you could talk about Sinovac being used in Singapore as a second dose to be counted as fully vaccinated. I mean, that's an issue. We're pro science and vaccine, but there is a very low efficacy compared to Pfizer and Moderna and what's the other one?
There's
AstraZeneca.
Yeah, that's the one.
When you look at these vaccines, efficacy compared to the Chinese ones, it's abysmal. And again, it's always just better to have it anyway. It's better than nothing. But there's actually an issue in China that I'm seeing, and I can't believe some of these other countries are so raring to go for it, because getting Chinese people to get vaccinated with the Sinovac and Sinopharm, they're having a difficult time doing that in China already.
Yeah.
So you have all these other countries where it's even just like their only option, right? Whereas Singapore, you actually have a choice. I'm hoping that
you should choose wisely if you have a choice.
The problem is the Chinese diaspora in Singapore, from what my Singaporean friend told me, was that they're buying into the propaganda that China's sending, and China's saying Sinovac and Sinopharm is better for you because you have a Chinese body.
Yeah, they like to push that crap.
And this is made for Chinese bodies. It's like, dude, can we stop with the misinformation here? There's enough COVID misinformation around the world.
Yeah.
Saptarshi Sengupta says, what happens if someone says they love Mao but they hate Xi, or vice versa? I don't think anyone would ever say that.
No.
Or even compare Xi with any previous president. I mean, behind closed doors.
Sure.
You know. Hey, Huria, have been following you guys for years now. Thanks for shedding light on China and CCP. Also, Matt, swimming is best sport. What was your main event? I was backstroker, 100-yard backstroke. Mine were 200, 400, and 800. I also swim 200 free. Daniel Wilcox. Cool. Why be a Wu Mao? 自告wu or 公知 when you could be a Mei Fandang? I'd be a Mei Fandang for that, or for free. Okay. Gaolin Didier says, a little luck for two of the most important commentators on YouTube. Fun fact.
Thank you. 8.88.
Yeah, nice. Lucky number. Fun fact, one of the original architects of Beijing was of Uyghur origin. Khan Balik. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
Clive, why are the Chinese athletes all doing Village People YMCA poses? Oh, yeah, they're all going like, yeah, YMCA. Bruce Tra, thank you. Ifan Pan, thank you. 100,000 subs, let's go. Thank you
let's
much.
do it. What is it at the moment?
Let me do a little real-time check.
We have...
not increased
we have
at all.
gained...
Looks like all you guys are subscribed.
We've gained 0 subs.
So appreciate that. Black Halo 6, perpetually lame army C-Rap video.
Yes.
Joshua Rhodes, congratulations on your Cultivate commercial on Facebook. What are you talking about?
What?
I mean, we didn't do a commercial, did we?
No, I don't. Did they put? Maybe they did.
Oh, they probably took a clip out of our video that we did for them.
Right.
Well, happy to do so. I mean, they're friends of ours.
That's cool. Yeah.
Janky Rum and I would be 100% down for a VR meetup. Favorite Beat Saber song map. Also, fave VR games in general. I love the Star Wars games.
Yeah, those are great.
Those are absolutely amazing. What else do we
like? I like a lot of Alex, of course, Half-Life Alex.
I haven't played that yet.
And actually, just recently I've been playing Onward, which is fun. It's like team-based, kind of like Counter-Strike. The graphics look like the original Counter-Strike. It's really bad. It's really bad, but it's fun.
I'm gonna spam the link for the straw poll again.
Yeah.
For the to see if you guys want to do it, and I'll check.
Let's do a little cotton over there. Just thought we'd do a little cotton for everyone.
Okay. We'll check back on that at the end.
Okay, cool.
I'll do one more here. Old man Yushia says, you guys are great. Love all your content. Thank you. Could you send Vaush a message and see you guys could talk about China and the CCP? He was just on Tim Pool's show.
Not too familiar with.
Another name drop.
Yeah,
Sorry.
those guys. We'll look into it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, excellent. Now we're going to move on to the Wumao corner, which of course is where we talk about hate and what the Wumao are up to and all that kind of nonsense.
讨厌. 操.
Yeah, and this is the one.
Okay.
Okay, so you go ahead with this one.
Okay,
is
so
interesting.
a lot of you guys asked us to cover this. We're going to touch on it. I
Yeah.
feel bad for the dude. Guy named Oliver Gerber. He's in Switzerland, I believe.
Yeah,
University of St. Gallen.
let's put that up there. Yeah.
Yeah, so he tweeted out this is very cursory. I'm not going to go into too much detail. He tweeted out some critical stuff about the CCP. Now, the problem is he's a PhD student. He's got 10 years of research.
10 years of research. Yeah.
PhD is not like, I'm going to get my PhD and then you go do more school. You actually have to physically prove stuff and like do research, right? This guy has dedicated his life to his research and he gets expelled.
Yeah.
Gets his PhD basically canceled, right? And the reason is that he got an email from the dean or whatever board, and they said, you've been tweeting things that resemble neo-Nazi tweets.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you actually talking about? He literally said some stuff, I think it was related to COVID and China, just some critical things about the Chinese government and freedom in China. And they pulled the rug out from under him. And people this article is in German.
Yeah.
I mean, this is getting shared around like crazy because this should not be allowed to proliferate. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, China has enough censorship in our education system as it is, but to cancel someone's research and degree because of criticizing a communist regime, or I should say an authoritarian regime that kills and murders its own citizens and stifles their freedom of speech, to support those people and then tweet some critical things about it. Doesn't even matter if you said something bad at that point. You shouldn't have your entire body of work canceled because of something like that.
Well, think about it like this. If you're in America and you're in American college, you're in American college studying for your PhD, university, I should say, and you start tweeting things about Russia, like, Putin sucks, or, like Russia meddled with the elections or whatever nonsense you want to, conspiracy things you're putting out there, Russia this, Russia that.
Yeah.
And the next minute you get a call from your university head and he's like, we're expelling you for, talking smack about Russia.
That wouldn't happen.
No, it wouldn't. But that's exactly what's happened here. You see, this shows you what kind of a reach the CCP has over people around the world, especially when it comes to universities, education, that kind of thing. They take such exception to anyone who would speak out against them that they actually go out there and they lean on people because they've got a lot of influence, especially financially, on a lot of these institutions. And they do things like they say, if you make this university a hostile environment for Chinese students, this is kind of what they try to leverage, then we will boycott your university and we will make sure that no Chinese students come. And of course, this is a big money pit. I mean, it's a big cash cow for all the universities, is all the Chinese students, because apparently the universities in China suck so bad that China has to send all their, students overseas, which is, I'm just making a joke there. But basically, it is the rich kids go overseas to study in China. That's what they've always done, and that's what they continue to do. So they use that kind of leverage, and then the universities will be like, well, look, we don't want to lose our Chinese students. We don't want to lose our
because the CCP will punish them harshly for anything.
They're like, okay, we better just get rid of this guy, set an example so this doesn't happen anymore. It's despicable.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to be able to rely on freedom of speech and your own country's rules and not have to be fearful of speaking out against a foreign government. And this is what's happening, and that's something that we're trying to fight against with this podcast. This is what we do, is we don't want this happening. We don't want to have to tell our children that you can't say anything bad about the Chinese Communist Party at school, in your school project, because that means that you're going to get expelled.
That's outlandish. We shouldn't even be having this conversation, but here we are. This guy loses everything.
Yeah.
And something better be done about this. And if you're in Switzerland, please reach out to your local politicians about this.
Yeah.
I know we do have a lot of Swiss viewers, so please do something about this.
And continue making that delicious cheese. Freaking love Swiss cheese, man.
It's okay.
Yeah. What do you mean? It's one of my favorites.
So bland.
No, it's not. It's tangy as all hell. What are you talking about?
Swiss cheese is the least flavorful.
No, like, Emmentaler or whatever. One of the holes in it?
That's not... Emmental is not Swiss cheese.
It's got holes in it.
Yeah, but it's different.
Well, it's still I call that Swiss cheese.
Oh, okay. Swiss cheese is so bland.
Are you kidding me? Like if you get a Reuben sandwich or whatever, it comes with Swiss cheese in it?
Yeah, it's bland as hell.
It's not bland. What's wrong with your taste buds?
So I'm making a straw poll.
Yeah.
Is
Swiss cheese is awesome.
I love it, but it's bland.
It's not bland.
I'm making a straw poll. Straw poll, Swiss cheese. Okay, give me another cheese to compare it to. Like, what would you call more mild than Swiss cheese?
I don't know,
Like cheddar?
I guess cheddar can be quite sharp. Depends if it's mature.
I mean, normal cheddar.
Yeah, I guess everyday cheddar.
Which is
maybe Gouda.
more flavorful?
I'd say which is better. Not
No, that's a preference. I'm talking about. You said it's not bland.
Okay, it's not bland. That's what it should be. Is Swiss cheese
Okay,
bland?
is Swiss cheese bland?
Yes or no? It's definitely not bland. It's freaking awesome.
You're looking at
You know what
bland like
cheese-
it's some negative thing. I'm not saying that's negative. It serves its purpose.
No, bland sucks. What you know? What cheese really sucks though is Parmesan cheese.
Why?
It just doesn't taste great.
Okay.
I know, like people put it on pizza and stuff, but it's just like to eat
I
it
like
as
Parmesan.
as
Oh, you
actual
don't eat it by
cheese.
itself.
Like it's really crappy.
Okay, this poll, I'm spamming it in the chat right now.
Okay.
And I'm also going to put it in the description right now. Right above the VR poll, right? Cheese poll.
Cheese
This
poll.
is important.
Okay. Right.
Everyone's going crazy like Swiss gang. Now, what I want you to understand, guys, this is not a preference. The poll says, do you think Swiss cheese is bland?
No.
And I love Swiss. I love Swiss cheese.
It's not bland. Mozzarella's more bland.
Can I tell you why they use Swiss cheese on a Reuben?
Why?
Because there's sauerkraut. Sauerkraut's very, very sour, right?
Yes.
Obviously.
Yeah.
It's not just an angry German.
No.
Sauerkraut.
No. Okay.
And corned beef is very salty.
Sure.
So what do? You don't want a cheese that's too flavorful because you want something to cut down on that
It's
flavor.
got a nice little tang to it, you know. It's
There's
got that
no
little
tang.
taste.
To me, it tastes like if you, it's the opposite of tang. It takes the tang away from
Swiss
your
cheese
mouth.
is awesome, and you're just
I
playing
like
it
Swiss
down.
cheese.
You're trying to say it's bland. It's like tofu or something. You're so wrong.
You're trying to say bland is bad. I'm
It is.
saying it's good. It serves its
You know
purpose.
what's bland is that wet ass tofu. You know, just that like boring.
Yeah, like plain tofu.
That's bland. If you gotta say Swiss cheese is anything like that, you're wrong.
Cheese
Bland
war.
is like if I took this piece of paper and I licked it. That's bland.
Did you just lick that paper?
I did, and that was bland as all hell. And it's not Swiss cheese.
Okay. Now, I just put the straw poll out. I'm gonna end it in about 10 seconds here. Make sure you guys vote. Is Swiss cheese bland? Okay, I'm gonna check the results in 5, 4, 3, 2. I've never seen the chat so active.
Well, we
bring
gotta
up
find
freaking.
out.
We're talking about core socialist values and how it's gonna affect their lives, and then we bring
What
up
is
cheese.
Tell me, what is the thing?
Here we go. The poll says, is Swiss cheese bland? The results are no.
No. Yes.
With
Yes.
63%.
Yes.
What's wrong with you guys?
Swiss cheese for the win. That stuff is delicious.
It is, but it's bland.
Bland stuff's not delicious. How can bland stuff be delicious? It's called bland for a reason. It's like porridge. It's like oats. If you get Quaker oats and you eat them dry, that is bland.
You're telling me cheddar cheese has less taste than
No.
Swiss cheese.
It wasn't about that. It's like, is Swiss cheese bland? No, it's not.
My point was, is it bland compared to other cheese?
No, they're way blander cheeses.
Like what?
Tons. Like,
Water?
Like, you know,
Like the runoff from
like-
cheese? You drink that?
like vegan cheese.
That is not cheese.
I'm just kidding. There are more bland cheeses.
Tell me one cheese that's more bland.
Mozzarella.
That's up there, but it's saltier than
No,
Swiss.
No. Swiss cheese definitely. You take a Swiss cheese and you have
Yeah,
a little bite of
okay.
that,
I'll say mozzarella is probably on par for me.
it's definitely blander. Maybe provolone. Provolone.
Provolone's pretty bland too.
Yeah. So don't
Yeah.
don't you know, Swiss cheese is awesome. Anyway,
Fine.
let's move
Okay,
on. Let's move on.
36% of you are absolute
okay.
legends, and the other, I'm gonna say 63% of our audience, you're absolute pieces of shit.
No, you guys are spot on. Yes.
I hate all of you.
Swiss cheese is awesome. I'm gonna have
anyway.
some Swiss cheese when I get home.
I like Swiss cheese.
Yeah, I'm just gonna eat it
I hate
without
it
anything.
now.
I'm just gonna eat
I
it.
hate all of you. I hate 64% of you. Maxi Muscha says, I would be very interested in an episode about rich Chinese history and what the CCP, or China without the CCP could become. A hopeful story of the future.
Yeah.
Jonathan Case, what happened to China? In the old days, they invented paper, compasses, fireworks, gunpowder, printing, and tea drinking. Now they just rip off K-pop. I'll tell you what happened. The Communist Party of China.
That's what happened, yeah.
Very talented populace.
Also, unfortunately, China has often fell victim to this, where they're fantastic, they innovate, and they become very civilized, and everything's great, and then they see themselves as the best in the world, and nothing can change. Japan had the same issue. Remember when they closed off? And then they kind of close off and they're like, well, screw you guys, we're the center of the universe. Everyone else is just barbarians out there. And then they don't innovate past that point because they feel like they've reached peak, That's happened a couple times.
Yeah. Sorry, there's the cheese. I'm so pissed off at these stupid. Laowhy is eating the holes.
That's what's happening. That's why you think it's bland. You're like, oh, there's cheese. You're like,
there's gonna be so many freaking
try some
Swiss
real
cheese memes after this on the subreddit.
You gotta try Swiss cheese next time.
I know. Are you kidding me? I'd probably eat more Swiss cheese than you.
I mean, obviously not. Maybe that's why it's so bland. You've deadened your taste buds from all the tang, from all that good taste.
Swiss cheese. You're making me hate Swiss cheese.
It's so good.
I like it. But
Probably one of my favorites. It's not my favorite now.
Bland now because of this.
No, but it's awesome.
You know what you are? You're like I keep redoing this poll because I want to see it like
it's
shift.
Not gonna change.
I'm gonna leave it up and then next time we'll check.
Okay, let's continue.
Anyway.
All right.
Black Halo 6 says, it's okay, Winston. I liked your rap battle joke. I liked it too. I thought that was funny. Rum Runner, I've heard of Ebonics, but Shebonics? I guess that's those principles. Yeah. Laxa says, while I and 70% of Japanese people don't want the Olympics held right now, I'm proud they called Taiwan Taiwan. Yeah. Also, Heatblur Eurofighter hype.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They're bringing out the Heatblur is one of the developers that does the DCS, that flight simulator.
Oh, right.
They did the F-14, which is still my favorite out of all of the planes you can get. They did such a good job. So if they, the Eurofighter one's going to be top notch.
Okay, sweet.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next segment, which is Worldview, where we talk about everything in the world. Yeah,
we're
specifically with regards to China, and it's very China-centric right now. We're talking about
video games.
Spiritual opium.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is an issue in China. Internet addiction is a huge issue in China, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Massive.
They've got internet addiction camps.
Especially with League of Legends and games like that.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing is, kids get addicted to it. And you can understand why. If you live in China, you want to get out of the house, you get those little internet cafes. They've been trying to regulate it for a very long time. So, you have to use your ID card to sign in at an internet cafe. You're kind of limited to a certain amount of hours sometimes, depending.
Yeah, and there's cameras on.
Yeah, there's rules. There's all sorts of things. And it's been a huge problem for families. And now the government is planning to, they haven't done it just yet, but they're planning to ban anyone under 12, is it?
Yes,
under 12?
That is that's correct.
Anyone under 12 from playing online games.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that might actually be a thing. And I think it might really happen. What do you think?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, they've had huge crackdowns on video games. Video games are tightly regulated in China, and they don't want to take them away to cause disruption. Like, they don't want people to rebel.
Yeah, and it's also a huge part of the economy.
It's a huge part of the economy as well.
Like, so much money is made through online gaming in China.
But again, this is the Chinese government being massively tone deaf to the populace. They do a lot of things that the people don't like, and they just can't say anything about it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the difference between freedom and not freedom.
Well, we're going to have to see where this goes. But they call the video game spiritual opium, And
correct.
So that's kind of what you'd expect. All right.
Keep going.
Yeah, we've got... Okay, that's our little. We've already covered that part.
Yep. I just wanted to cap off. Actually, I'll read that after we get. We'll do our Let's do our Q&A.
Yeah,
and
we'll
then
do
I'll
our
finish
Q&A,
off
and then
with
we
this.
have a finishing.
No.
Before,
this
is really ridiculous.
So
go ahead.
You know how like China like bans and blocks everything. This is all about censorship.
Sure.
They don't censor stuff that furthers their agenda.
No.
And something that's been going around like absolute wildfire is the allegation that Mike Pompeo.
Mm-hmm.
started the pandemic under the Trump administration on purpose, and it's these low res photos of this glossy paper.
That's a fact. That's facts. It's a facts paper.
Yeah, this is not me like making it low res. No. This is legitimately what's being spread around.
This is what's being spread around. That this is an official leaked document.
Because they don't want people to read it.
No.
Right? Because it's completely fabricated.
Sure.
So they're saying that this is from West Point, like United States Military Academy, that Mike Pompeo put out a dossier basically that says, this is how we're going to release COVID, right?
Yeah.
And this is going like wildfire, and the Chinese government's not stopping it. It's literally, it says, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo here. And the last thing says, go and, what does it say again? Go and deprive the world, my kids.
Yes, go and deprive the world, my kids.
This is my favorite thing in the world. So this has been going ape, and people are taking it seriously.
Yeah, they
and the
really
state
are.
doesn't take it down.
Yeah, it gets spread around, and this is definitive proof that America started the pandemic, and this is what's being spread around by the Chinese people on WeChat, which is ridiculous.
So keep in mind, people in the U.S. or people in the West get in trouble when they talk about the fact that COVID started in China, because it did.
Yeah.
But people get in trouble for it. They get
Yeah.
people say, "Oh, you can't say that," whatever. But in China, you can run wild with shit
you
like
can
this,
say
made
it
up
started
shit.
wherever.
Yeah.
It's again that double standard. So when you find yourself biting your tongue because you're being told that you're racist to say that the pandemic started in Wuhan, where it did.
Yeah,
Remember,
and
that's
the
not
Chinese
racist
government
to say
mishandled it.
facts.
Yeah.
It's not racist to say facts.
No.
Remember that it's totally okay in China for them to say anything they like about where it came from, and it's not racist.
Yeah,
it's
we're not-
condoned by the state because it's not taken down.
Correct. We're not saying tit for tat. We're saying facts are facts, and that's fine. Don't
Yeah.
use it for malicious purposes, but that's just what happened.
Yeah, it is.
We can't support a regime that allows shit like this to proliferate everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Anyway, we'll finish
We're
off.
we're going to do our Q&A. We've got quite a few answers or questions to answer, so you can question our answers. And then we've got one final thing to sign the show off.
kind of
with.
important.
Yeah, it is important.
Go and deprive the world, my kids.
Yeah, go and deprive the world, my kids.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo here.
Yeah,
That's how I
exactly.
write letters.
And then I fax it to
And then I
people.
fax them on fax paper
Yeah.
in low res.
Yep.
Blue Six says, YouTube, kowtows to China. Remember Operation Dragonfly, the software that Google is making for the CCP to spy
Yes.
on their people?
Mm-hmm.
The A-Man 1, he has lots of cool sunglasses on
Thank
that
you.
emoji. Thank you. Phil says, so I'm guessing the underground cram schools are coming.
Yeah, imagine
yeah.
that. Imagine having to find...
They already are. We saw some clips.
Yeah, but come on. Guys, can you even think about this for a second? Imagine the fact that you have to now break the law in order to get an education.
Right.
You literally have to be illegal to learn something after school. It has to be illegal and it has to be all underground. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
It is. Jonathan W. Hey guys, don't ever stop making content. I missed the stream for a while. It took the last few hours of my workday off to watch this week.
Hey, thanks.
That's
Seriously
crazy. That's
appreciate it.
awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out from Prince Edward Island, Canada. Isn't that piercing? Oh no, that's Prince Albert.
Prince Albert, yeah.
Thank you
Oh.
very much. Don't think about
No.
it.
Dude,
Hamil Halabi from Turkey says,
thank you.
I lived in China for 5 years and I saw many similarities with my home country, Syria. Oh, sorry, you're in Turkey, but you're from Syria.
yeah.
In all aspects, why the West was unconditionally loved for creating socialist zombies just to make goods for less. Why they won't do it in Syria, for example. At least the world won't have COVID.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, man. This is the stupid thing, is that most normal, common sense thinking people would not be supporting a regime like the Communist Party of China, which is absolutely taking advantage of and an enemy of just the way of life that we're used to, freedom of speech, being able to express yourself. The reason why, and of course doing all these atrocities like what's happening in Xinjiang and so on, and the only reason why is because people want to make a buck, and they're putting money before morals, and it's an unfortunate thing, and it's just going to lead to the detriment of everyone in the end,
Yeah.
Chinese people specifically too.
Yeah. Black Kayla 6 says, with all the panic buy and emptying shelves, what do they do with all the food? I remember you both saying that most houses don't have fridges.
It's no, it's not that they don't have fridges. It's
Everyone
that they
has a
don't.
fridge.
No, they don't keep refrigerated goods. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes.
Like, in the West, we'll buy milk or whatever, put it in the fridge and keep it, and we'll buy vegetables and we'll put it in
For
the
a
fridge.
long time.
And we'll use those vegetables like at the end of the week or something. But in China, it has to be fresh.
Yeah.
So every single day,
Especially down south.
Yeah, they love to go and buy vegetables at the wet market and meats and stuff. And it's those things that they don't like to refrigerate and keep for a long time. It's kind of a daily thing. You want your fresh stuff daily. But they do have refrigerators, of course.
Yeah. Everyone's got a fridge. Well, most places have a fridge.
Yeah, they're
for
not
sure.
normally huge, though.
No. We said a lot of people don't tend to use like freezers for ice and things like
Yeah,
that.
no, there's no ice, for instance, in the south. Yeah,
Our PNG says, caught in. Cheers from
cotton.
Hungary.
Yeah.
If you aren't, Tom says, if you aren't already aware, Cardi C's Cotton Ripoff is a song called Ardzawawa. Yeah, we know. We covered that last time. She actually just ripped off the entire song.
Yeah.
Which I believe she's put in the description now.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
Did you see she unlisted it?
Yeah,
she made
she-
it public again because
Yeah.
it was getting too popular.
Yeah, it's good on her. It'll be her most
Yeah, I
popular
think it's
video
great.
ever.
It's
Yeah, we should make her
fantastic.
hit the number one on the charts. I think it'd be awesome.
She's on VR now,
Yeah,
yeah.
just like you're imagining.
just like you're imagining.
Bounce.
Yeah, balance.
Hmm.
Ray G Productions. Have you guys heard about the lockdowns in Australia? I think New Wales. Yeah, I heard people are having protests.
Yeah, I got
right?
friends that are very unhappy about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Return to Orc Monkey says, got my dinner on the way. Work laptop closed. Ready to start the weekend off right with ADV Podcast.
Awesome.
That's an accolade.
Thank
if
you.
I've ever heard one. Clarinda Ryder says, weekend drinks me.
Yeah,
on me,
on
I
me,
guess.
yeah. Thank you.
Would be more, but Winston's patron is bleeding me dry.
Thanks.
Gladly, mind you.
Yeah.
Thank you again for being the strong, amazing men that you are.
Thank you. Really,
Clarinda.
very much appreciate that. Yeah.
Kathleen Morrison, any updates on the flooding and how the Three Gorges is holding up? We're not going to hear anything out of that.
Look,
Thank
there
you for
have
all
been a
your
lot
hard
of
work. Thank you,
updates.
Kathleen.
There is a lot of terrible things that have been going on in China.
I'm talking about Three Gorges.
Yeah, the Three Gorges is still holding. If it collapses, they won't be able to hide it.
No,
and
you'll know.
And I'm pretty sure it won't collapse.
I hope not.
And we don't want it to collapse. But there have been some very awful things happening with whole villages being wiped out. And
Yeah.
in order to save urban centers, they're blowing up the banks of certain rivers and reservoirs, and it floods out the villages and stuff. And they do it at night sometimes too, so they don't have to pay compensation. A lot of crap. But we'll focus on that in a specific episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. The Zombol Slaya says, in your opinion, is it fair to label the CCP a fascist regime given its genocide, anti-foreigner rhetoric, imperialist society, and Han nationalism? I think it's more than fair.
More than fair.
Very fascist country.
Yeah.
Alejandra M.A., thank
Thank
you. Pepic 121, my Chinese friends don't even know that foreigners are not allowed to enter China now. They want me to visit them because China is safe now. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, Chinese people are not being told that. The soft power says, oh, come.
Yeah, exactly. And I've also found there's a lot of ignorance when it comes to the laws for foreigners in China. And I guess that's kind of natural. You know, a lot of times I'll have subscribers who their Chinese wives will be like, oh, just come and work.
live.
Just come and live and work, you know. You're like, you can't just do that, you know. You can't just work. It's like, no, it's okay. Just come. We can start a business. We can do work. You can't. It's not like that. You have to have special visas, and it's very difficult. But that makes sense. Think about it. When I was in South Africa, I had a Dutch friend, and he told me that he had to get a work visa. And to me, it was like the weirdest thing ever because I'd grown up with him. He was in school with me and
Right.
stuff, and I was like, but why? Why would you need a work visa to work? You know, that kind of thing. And that's just the way it is. If you grow up in a country, you're probably not aware of the laws that pertain to foreigners. But China's laws towards foreigners are very harsh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said. Anthony Leroux, love you guys. As a cultural Chinophile from 1973 until a few years ago, I'm sad to see the new path that the new China has embarked on,
Yeah.
even though I expected it over the next 30 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate. Thank you.
Yeah, we're all upset about that.
Jeremy Lim, soft power is working well in Singapore. Me and my peers' parents are buying into their self-victimization and defending them.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awful. And that's the unfortunate thing is they've managed to convince a huge portion of the Chinese diaspora abroad
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they are part of the Communist Party and the Communist Party represents them for some reason, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Ja says, all news content must relate to ADV Media. Where can one go to ask and discuss the finer points of everything in that region related to the PRC? You can do that on our subreddit for sure.
Yeah.
Can you recommend a good forum? Our China is good, but you can use ADV China forum to discuss stuff like that. What we're trying to avoid is when people post things like, oh, the Republicans did this or the Democrats
Sure.
did this in regards to, we just want to keep news, like partisan news out of it. It's about China.
Yeah.
Right. And if it's something that we can bring up in the podcast, you're absolutely allowed to post it there for sure. Feel free to have a discussion.
Just don't
It's
want to
great.
have every article about China just randomly posted in there. It has to be relevant.
That's why a discussion's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Discussion's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Luell PMVs.
Thank you.
Mr. AB says, was a little confused on Winston's video as to whether the firearm misfired or she survived the wound. Hope to
Yeah.
see it in the next video. Always looking forward to the podcast.
You will see it in the next video, but I can tell you right now, the reason is that it was a revolver. It had 2 spent rounds in it. And the guy obviously didn't understand guns very well, and he'd moved a live round behind the hammer. So when you pull the hammer on a revolver, it actually, you know, shifts to the next cylinder. And so it moved to one of the empty rounds. It was just very lucky. Yeah.
Dion Chapman says, trying to convince my Chinese wife that our son didn't have to study all the time was hard. Now my son is top of his class in year 10. And
Yeah.
there you go. That's what happens when you let them have their own way. Put them on the right path, but don't force them.
Yeah, look, this whole overstudying thing's crap. It's not good for a child.
No,
it's totally
but it's also not the government's business.
But I also understand in China that you have to. You can't have a Western mindset.
No.
If you're going to live in China and that's where you are, and your child has to grow up in China, you're giving them a severe disadvantage if you don't allow them to study all the time. But it's a terrible thing, because as a Westerner, you don't want that for your child.
Correct. Anthony Sain says, hey, great show, guys. As always, here's 2 cans of your favorite beer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mixel, Plixel, love your show. Keep it up. Thank you. Charles Womack. Oh, with the 444.
But he says 444, but to the CCP.
I don't still, Charles, I don't like to see it.
It's great, though. Thank you.
We love it, but we don't like to see that number.
Yeah,
we don't like it. It follows us around.
Yeah.
Control Alt Review says, I feel like demographic collapse is a growing issue globally and not limited to China. Here in Europe, they're also referring to it as the graying. How would countries go about solving that and comfort what causes it? Japan did. Not saying Japan is a runaway success story, but Japan got wealthy enough to where that's not a massive issue. Sure. Yes, it's an issue around the world, but Control Alt Review, in China, they didn't get to that level yet. No. You can't peak that early. Yeah. They've just started getting rich.
As far as the demographic crisis is concerned, just have more kids.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen, though, is it?
No, I'm just saying,
you have more kids.
Yeah, I mean,
I already have 2.
Yeah.
I've replaced myself.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, have more kids, I guess, is the easiest way out of it.
Yeah. A-Tech, thank you for your voice. Thankfully, the U.S. is not as bad as...
But also allow immigration, and you see, that's the problem. China doesn't allow immigration because they're an ethno state. It's all about...
That's an issue.
Yeah, we Chinese, we Chinese, we Chinese. So imagine you had different races of people coming and immigrating, then they would lose that edge, and they don't want that.
Right.
It has to be China or the highway.
I've always been pro-immigration, because if you have a certain, let's say white people or something, don't stop having kids or have less kids, you can always replace that, right? Your country can still be on the up and up.
Sure.
Right, with successful immigration. Fireheart, I learned that the USA is a big provider of food to China. Do you think that's a good thing? There's absolutely no reason for aid anymore. Government aid in China. I mean, they've already claimed to be a first world
sending
country,
people to the moon, but I think they just mean as in exports a lot of food there.
Oh, exports. I don't see why that's a bad thing.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Business as usual.
People don't seem to realize that China's local food production is actually pretty dismal.
Right.
They do rely on the rest of the world greatly for food. That's also why they're expanding into Africa and places like that, is because then that will guarantee them, access to food.
Yes.
If they close down completely.
Rum Runner says, here's a bad joke for you.
Okay.
How do you know that the Chinese emperor was gay? Because during his entire reign, he enjoyed a mandate from heaven. It's pretty good, though.
It reminds me of a stupid joke I read the other day where it's like, how does a polygamous hippie count his wives? 1 Mrs. Hippie, 2 Mrs. Hippie, 3 Mrs. Hippie.
Oh.
Sorry. Yeah, it was really bad. Sorry. Anyway.
All right. Death Flash.
That was really bad.
Death Flash. Question: if CCP officials for some reason took responsibility for anything bad that happened in China, would their heads spontaneously combust due to violating their own extreme doublethink? Yes.
Yes.
PB, tutoring is a drug that parents keep administering their kid. Prohibition will just drive it underground. Imagine shady back alley tutoring deals.
It will happen
already. Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. It was already rampant. Again, just like the anti-corruption drive.
Yeah.
It's still very corrupt in China. It's just that the other people under Xi Jinping are the ones that are allowed to be corrupt.
Yeah.
Tacit Turn, thank you. Diddle Smurf says, what is NTD News worth? They often same as you, albeit a letter later, but they never seem to say anything positive about China or the Chinese.
Well, they're biased. It's not to say that what they say is wrong, but they do have their motivations. They're linked to the Falun Gong,
which that is what it is.
A persecuted religion / cult / whatever you want to call it, which is being banned in China. So they're backed by them, but it doesn't mean that what they say is wrong. And I think you can get. With any kind of situation, if you want to get a clear picture of what's happening in a country, you should be looking at all sides.
Correct.
The people that are against it, the people that are for it, the people that are in between.
That being said, what I will say is that, and again, this is a bit of self-promo, but Winston and I are not only nonpartisan, but we're not funded by any single group.
Yeah,
we don't get anything from anywhere.
You can be guaranteed that what we tell you is something that we tell you out of a moral imperative and out of our own experience, and not something that we've been paid to say.
Correct.
And that will always remain that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Christopher Watson, thanks for your work on China. The new regulations for English teachers has affected 4 people in my family in 2 states. Part-time work. That sucks.
Yeah, it really is affecting people, and that's why we can say it's a real deal.
Oh, it is.
Because sometimes they put out these things and you hear about it and nothing ever happens, right? But this is really affecting people, so it's really happening.
It's not affecting this woman from putting up her laundry in Shanghai on the road. This is downtown Shanghai, by the way.
Yeah.
Tacit Turn, other useful resources, Atlantic Council, CSIS, Stimson Center, Hudson Institute, CNES, Cato Institute, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, all have extensive reports on CCP PLA activity. Yes, and I do recommend most of those. I use those for sources.
Yeah.
Steve Wolf.
Thank you.
Iski, good morning from Japan. I think you guys should do online classes teaching English to Chinese. Whoa. Why would we do that? Black Kayla 6. I think I'll stick to making videos.
Yeah.
Is shutting down after international criticism of government version pouting?
Yes.
I like to imagine Shitala pouting in his room.
Very insecure governments, and whenever there is real proper criticism, they can't handle it. They always have to make it someone else's fault, or they close down or they censor. That's what you see. That's why they go after us so much.
Correct. My Amy Trong Yahoo says, thanks for all your hard work and help the world be more aware of Beijing's evil schemes. Ja says, that is actually one of my new numbers. I'm glad you said it.
Questions.
I'm sorry. What am I doing? My questions. If and when the PRC closes, how will the status quo in Taiwan be affected? Will they retain economic relations? Do blue and green disagree on this? I think China will probably try to starve out Taiwan economically. But China needs Taiwan in a lot of ways as well.
The world needs Taiwan as far as chip production and so on.
Ross Wolf is this: if the CCP is moving towards expelling foreigners, what does that mean for businesses that rely on Chinese manufacturing? Will they get kicked out too? I think eventually.
Yeah.
I think eventually.
I mean,
it's only a matter of time.
This whole thing where they're going after like the Didi and so on,
the stock market,
and Alibaba, and, they basically created the situation where they get foreign investment, a lot of foreign investment, and then suddenly they put in all these like things in place in order to like kick out the foreign investors. Basically everyone loses their money. They're like, screw this company, we're not going to be part of it. And then the Chinese side will buy back all those stocks and get majority control of the company again. And that's kind of what they're doing here.
F. Genetic says, one reason they're shutting down is that there's many ex-con white trash coming in, teaching English and doing stupid stuff and end up behind bars. I mean, I agree that a lot of that happens. I won't say that's the reason that they're doing that. Absolutely not. That's not. The government doesn't have... I agree there's a lot of shit people that come to, especially like white trash foreigners that go to China to capitalize
just any
on
trash foreigners. Like, that's the thing.
I say white trash because he said that.
Yeah.
Trash foreigners that come from different countries.
Yeah. And
they take advantage of the situation. Trust me when I say this, the government cracking down on this does not have altruistic reasons for doing so.
No.
Warwick Shaw, do you think the whole situation with English in China will play out like Old Speak, New Speak in George Orwell's 1984? In a lot of ways, it already is.
Yeah.
Nanda Mary, hi guys, I believe in the work you do and educate the world about the real China. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. David Ward, never stop doing what you're doing. You are the lone voice in the wilderness that must be heard. Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. It's incredibly generous of you. Thank you.
This is why she keeps saying "buan chuxin," and that basically means like never forget, right? Yeah. Never forget your Marxist roots. She despises Deng and idolizes Mao. You guys are doing a great job, and that's correct. Deng Xiaoping is absolutely no saint.
No.
Absolutely not. He's responsible for Tiananmen Square massacre. Yeah. That being said, his policies of opening up China were setting it up to be on the right path.
Yes.
Whereas Xi Jinping's going back to Mao.
Yes, it's going to be bad. It didn't work the first time around. What does he think it's going to work the second time around?
Xi Jinping's thoughts. In his own mind, he thinks he's superior to
It's
Mao.
like those college kids that keep saying, communism is just
hasn't been tried yet.
Hasn't been done properly, It's failed many times, but that's only because it's never been done properly, whatever.
Wake up.
Yeah.
Josh Jones, thanks guys, great show. Question: what is the origin of Antifa, or is Antifa and Chao An is QAnon from the PLA or the Five Dime Party? Thanks.
Don't know.
I actually don't know how they came up with those names, to be honest.
Must be, yeah. I mean, they're just using, it's a transliteration. They're just using like similar characters that sound the same.
Didn't Antifa write like a smear thing about me or us? I'm pretty sure. Why would they do that? We never even spoken about them.
I don't know.
Because
they love communism and they love China, so we're just their enemies. So
next QAnon will come after us.
We do not need that.
ADVChina says, I lived in China for 20 plus years. 50% of this show is just for a laugh, and the other half is somewhat true about the mighty CCP.
Lol. Nice, good for you.
I'll agree to disagree with you on that one.
Yes.
Is that like a disinformation type of agent? Well, at least they gave us money. So we'll put it towards being 50% correct.
Yeah.
Tara Doherty.
And the other 50% is like spot on.
Yeah. The other 50% is immaculate.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Tara Doherty. If I was taught this growing up, my parents would never have heard the end of it. Mother that person over there that isn't following safety. Do Chinese schools teach mental health? They do not.
No, mental health is a huge issue in China. There's a big problem with that.
Have you two, Winter Phoenix says, have you two seen the Thunderbolt Fantasy? It's really cool. The Japanese and Taiwanese teamed up to make a wuxia and traditional Chinese puppets. I did not see
No,
that.
I haven't seen it.
Tacit Turn, not a huge puppet fan, but
No, especially those shadow puppets.
Yeah.
I'd rather not. I mean, it's a fantastic art form, but it's really, really old.
Just has to appeal to you.
We don't have Punch and Judy shows anymore.
What's that?
It's also like kind of a puppet show
Okay.
from the medieval times.
Oh, those
They
things.
set up
That's
a
what
little
those are
booth
called.
and they're hitting each other.
Marionettes.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably do.
I've
I went
got-
to a Renaissance festival a couple weeks ago.
They must have had that.
I did see something like that in the corner, but I'll tell you what, I went to all the other shows, but not that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Tacit
Check it out,
Turn,
though.
thank you very much. Bjarni Christiansen, love to be part of Winnie the Pooh's think tank. Would suggest intimate friendship with birds along with harmonious stealing of Western ideas.
Yeah. Nice.
If I can see it, says, I made it to the party.
Welcome.
The good party, not
Yes.
the Gongchandang.
Yes.
Stephen Kraft, it could have been much worse. At least the bad PLA recruitment rap didn't mention protecting China's cotton.
It should have, though. Yeah. Where's it? Cotton.
PB says, just 14 thoughts? Such intellect. Much wow.
Yes.
Lexi Red says, now with the TSMC to build advanced semiconductors factory in Arizona is the main technology we need to hold the upper hand on. Or do you think there are other areas Congress can focus on as well? So many. Actually, you can watch the State Department's speech about the Communist Party of China they just did. I think you shared it on your Twitter.
Yeah, I did share it out.
Fantastic sum up of kind of the direction the U.S. is going in. But yes, having the semiconductor factory in Arizona is a fantastic idea.
Absolutely.
We need to diversify from Taiwan and allow them to retain intellectual property rights over it, but keep manufacturing kind of away from China.
Yeah, exactly. Because they could just take it in a heartbeat
Yeah.
these days. Yeah.
Dustin Pearson, is TCM more effective than
No,
Western
if
medicine?
TCM
Oh, sorry. If TCM is more effective than Western medicine for Chinese bodies, why did they not have a TCM vaccine? They tried that.
They did. Remember that
Lianhua capsules.
Yeah, exactly.
For all of your COVID needs.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the shills,
snake oil
CCP
salesmen are
shills,
selling that, yeah.
they sold that.
Yeah.
Appreciate the coverage and humor. Love you both. Thank you, Dustin. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Kenshin891. We know we've manifested Xi Jinping thought when we've satisfied Popeye in dry land in sunshine
Made
in
with cotton. Yes.
Let's do a couple nanners.
Show some Chinese.
So yeah, if you guys don't know, that is another CCP rap. They said, we see the larch rolling by in miles when we meet satisfied Popeye.
That's exactly what they said, and it
Still don't know what that
doesn't
means.
mean anything.
Jonathan W, thanks for the stream, guys. Much love from Canada again, Jonathan Wright. Alice Bjorgen, you guys didn't get my 1984 reference last week. I'm sorry. Keep up the good work. We're too dumb.
Yep.
It's like that guy said, we're only 50% there.
Yeah, it's only 50% right. Yeah.
Zone Ball Slaya, in your opinion, is China a fascist country? Yes.
Yes.
Lexi Red, does Xi and Putin get along? Not really. I know their ideology can't have allies in the long run, but they partner in conflict against the West? No, definitely not. God forbid. P.S. You guys make a great team. That's not to prop up Putin or anything. What I'm trying to say is that Russia does not respect the Chinese leadership at all.
No.
Ask any Russian person.
And they didn't back in the day when they were allies either.
Never will.
Yeah.
It'll be a marriage of convenience, but only if it has to be. Russia has no reason to take China's side in any sort of conflict.
Yeah.
Badger Mooring, I suddenly and immediately lost my job due to Go-Go Kids.
Yeah.
Due to China's new anti-after-school tutoring policy. Here we go. They sent an email at midnight that we're immediately done. Thanks, CCP. Another piece.
Exactly. A lot of people have lost their jobs, and it's awful. And there's no warning. And that's why you have to be careful when dealing with China because
Yeah.
there's often no warning all the time anyway.
Yes.
Whether you're working and living there, or you're investing in there, or you're doing online teaching like this, they can change the rules like this, and there's no way that you can have any recourse. You're stuck. You just have to deal with it. So just be careful when dealing with China.
Yes. Yes. Case Closed 93 says I watched an old documentary from 97 this week about the upcoming Hong Kong handover. There's a game I can recommend.
Hong Kong 97.
Hong Kong 97, actually.
Yeah.
It seemed, though, that they thought it would make China more democratic as opposed to reality. Jiang fooled us. He certainly did.
Yep.
Jiang Shen.
Yeah, Jiang Shu.
Dion Chapman, ADV Cheesecast. Take it to the bedroom, guys.
Not taking nothing to the bedroom.
No, I'm
Stop
just gonna
looking up the cheese
I'm
ball.
sorry. It's still going.
Yes,
but yeah.
it's correct.
There's a lot of votes now.
It's correct.
Stop. Freaking Swiss is boring and bland, but
I'm
I
gonna
like
have
it.
a Reuben sandwich tonight.
Oh, fine. Or return to Orc Monkey, cheese with Chinese characteristics. PB for the Swiss cheese
That'd be
fund.
tofu.
Yeah. Darius, I just want to say hi. What do you think about the recent Lithuanian and Taiwan announcement? We want to say congratulations to Lithuania and Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
We love the way that I know Lithuania is tiny. Everyone I met there is super cool. I've actually been there, and I must say I am quite surprised that a little Eastern European country like that would actually take the side of Taiwan. But I'm so happy.
Yes, more
Awesome.
of that, please.
Keep it up and be
Rest
an
of the
inspiration
world,
to the world.
Yeah, exactly. Take note, rest of the world.
Take note, rest of the world. You've been lied to.
Yes, exactly.
So this dude says he's a college student in investment banking, and he says, "你们的看法是什么?" and that just means, "What is your opinion?"
Yeah, with what?
The temperature. He said he's apprehensive about him temporarily living in China for 2 years.
Oh, wait, didn't you say Hong Kong? Oh, is he going into mainland China? No, it's banking in Hong Kong.
Oh, in Hong Kong. Sorry, I was assuming you're in China.
I think Hong Kong will still be okay for a career point, as long as you're
For a little while, yeah.
As long as you're not into politics or outspoken or anything like that, you'd probably be okay.
Yeah. Mark O'Kane, keep up the great work, guys. Sydney's on lockdown, but if I do get COVID, I have my tea water as recommended by China's top docs.
Yeah,
Well,
there you go. Remember the cha shui? Yeah, we talked about that.
Oh my gosh.
One. Yeah.
Mark Hamilton, China's leader, Xi Jinping fears free. Oh, did you know what I found out about that?
What?
You remind me next time to bring that up.
Okay.
Remind me next time to bring that up. I got the whole video.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Mark Hamilton said
I'll make
China's
a note.
Xi Jinping fears freedom for the Chinese people. You won't believe what happened with that. I'll bring it up next time.
Okay.
We're running out of time here. We're actually gonna have to save the last segment for next time.
Oh, okay.
It's way too long.
Right.
Robert Finch, Winston loves Swiss cheese. Countdown to CCP sanctioning Swiss imports. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
Switzerland. Winston just literally destroyed your import economy with China.
Yeah, what a pity.
Tyler Freeman, there are many
More for me.
variations of cheese. Yeah. That's why many rich people sit in their cellars rubbing it on their nipples.
Okay, really?
What? Do people do that?
No, I don't think so. He just
I mean,
made that up. He does that.
Oh, I don't want to Google rubbing cheese on nipples.
No, it
You know
doesn't
that's a thing.
No,
Rule
it-
34, dude.
Yeah, let's not look it up.
ASDF says, would love to see Matt's reaction to Mr. Bones. What is that?
I don't know.
No.
Don't know what Mr. That rings a bell though. What is that? I'll look it up while you
Okay.
continue.
Norman Flair says American cheese is the definition of bland. Yes, but it's less bland than Swiss cheese.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
Daniel Kevin says the Dutch old cheese is. Have I had the wrong Swiss cheese?
I think you have. Oh, Mr. Bones is a Leon Schuster movie. That's right. I remember seeing that. That's
Oh, you show me
2001.
that kind of crap. I don't like that.
Leon Schuster is like the South African comedian.
It's not very funny from what you showed me.
Yeah. You like my acha, you buy my acha.
That
Yeah.
wasn't that funny.
No, it wasn't that
No.
funny.
I mean, I'm not judging. Just
No.
I didn't think it was that funny.
Yeah. He
I
did-
like to learn about new stuff.
He did some good stuff back in the apartheid days where he wore blackface and he walked into like the very staunch Afrikaans areas like in Oranje or whatever, and he was like coming in there and
freaking people out.
they were trying to beat him up for coming in there and stuff. That was funny.
So he was promoting like social
Well, he actually
justice.
he put blackface on, but as like an Indian,
Oh, okay.
and he walked into like these sort of like whites only area type things.
Exposing racists and whatnot.
No, it was just for fun.
That was just for fun.
Yeah, it was just like comedy, and they would like try to beat him up, and then he'd be like, "No, look, it's actually me."
And they're
You
like,
know?
"Oh,
and then like,
got us
"Oh,
again."
okay, yeah."
That's like
kinda-
racist. Like what's it called? What's that hidden camera show?
Oh, like
Candid camera.
Candid
it's like
Camera.
racist candid camera.
Yeah, he did some pretty funny stuff back in the day. Yeah.
Daniel Caven, the Dutch old cheese is the best. Check out Pavlov VR and Boneworks are great VR shooters.
Oh, yeah,
Anything that doesn't involve motion, because I'll puke.
Yeah, he's not good with that. I've tried a bunch of the VR games. I'm very impressed. I really like it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Alex is
We
still
both
my
have
favorite.
Oculus Quest 2,
2.
so we'll probably end up using those for a sub meetup.
Yeah, with a little link
let me
cable.
check real quick. The VR subscriber meetup, the results.
Yeah.
The results are, most people said yes, but I don't have VR.
That's okay because there are ways to do it through your phone or something like that.
You can use Google Cardboard.
Yeah, we'll make sure that you all know if we go ahead with this how to do
And
it.
actually, 23% of people, which is quite a bit, said yes, and I have VR,
That's
which is
amazing.
good.
Yeah.
Responding to Tyler, if this is from Orc Monkey, I'm not rich and I still sit in my basement surrounded by all my delicious cheeses. Hopefully you do not rub them on your nipples.
Yeah.
Jordan Laramore, does China have a viable civil society in any way? And they could.
Yeah.
Jonathan, that's my favorite stream ever, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. Swiss cheese.
Swiss cheese from LNS again.
Thank
like
you.
it, but it's bland.
No,
Bob
it's not.
XRP, it's not funny. You guys should be both in suits, talking monotone and directing the facts. It's really not funny.
Okay.
I think. Hopefully you're joking.
Yeah, I
Bob.
think so.
According to Bob, we have to be like this now.
No, that's
Beware of
okay.
Confucian centers on college campuses.
Yeah, beware of Confucius institutes on college campuses. Yes.
They'll bite you.
No, they are really just a tool of the CCP.
Yes. B. Schneiders, return to Orc Monkey. Cottage cheese, more like cottage cheese.
Yeah, I like
So-
cottage cheese. That's pretty bland.
Cottage cheese is good.
That's
Yeah,
bland.
that's bland. Because
Yeah.
that's halfway between milk and cheese.
Yeah, it's really good though.
I like it.
Yeah.
Do you put savory stuff or sweet stuff in it?
Savory.
Me too.
Yeah, it's got to be savory. Yeah, cottage cheese is awesome.
Zumble Sias is your opinion China a fascist country? Yes.
Yes,
David M. C number 15. Nicolas Cage movies are
the
the best.
best. Yes,
You're
that's
welcome.
his 15th thought.
Oh,
You know, that's what it is.
that's absolutely
Yeah, that's his
his
15th thought.
15th thought.
Yeah.
Anna Ridgway, Intermondo Cultural Consulting. Thank you. TMD Waterfall, guys. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Lou M. Anything about Chris Wu arrest? Oh, yeah, we should have talked about that.
Yeah, that is something new. For
bring
those
it up
of you-
next
Yeah,
time.
we'll talk about it next time, but it's looking pretty dire for him.
Yeah,
He's
PB
going to be made an example.
PB, go and deprive the world, lads, one fax at a time.
Yes, that's right.
Tacit turn with 4 purple umbrellas is very unlucky. Please never do that again. CCP Shellbuster says, have some wonderful Taiwanese freedom dollars. ADV kick CCP's ass. I almost
Thank you.
said dog whistle CPC. CCP Shellbuster is an interesting channel. Go check it
Yeah,
out.
go check him out.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah, he talks about the shills and that work for the Chinese government, so it's always good.
It's pretty fun stuff. Very funny. Dion Chapman, Australia has the baby bonus, paid to have a baby. Also, lots of immigration.
Yeah, they do. They pay people to have kids.
TMD says the biggest exporter of soybeans from America to China. Yep. Tessa Turin, it's more important to... It's important to do more than chat. Act! Email your leaders. We agree.
Sure.
We agree.
If you can, if you've got any way of contacting whoever your, head of your area is, your congressman, or
Whatever
your
you're supposed to do
statesman
in
or
your country.
senator or your whoever, just try put it out there. Yeah.
Jennifer, sometimes I feel like the CCP are determined to make China a country of locusts and how they strip the ocean of fish and Belt and Road agriculture. That's how the government operates. It's only to serve the elite,
Yeah,
right? That's the problem.
it's unfortunate.
Whiskey Neat says, keep it up, legends from Outback, Australia.
Thank you.
Cedar Melem, how hard can it be to be vegan in China? What about Japan?
I have a video on how hard it is to be vegan in China. It is pretty difficult, but it's possible. I have a friend who's raw vegan who managed to survive in China.
Very easy in Taiwan.
Yes.
There's so many vegetarians.
Specifically because, the Buddhist temples
Buddhists,
and
yeah.
stuff, they are vegetarian and vegan, so yeah.
Tessa Turn says, there's no need to fear the PLA. Every other army has, I'm not going to go into that.
Okay.
Clint Brothers. CC, is Chris Wu's behavior common among Chinese celebrities?
We'll discuss that next week.
Yeah.
We'll give you more information on him. That'll be in What's New.
Das Andamova says, opposite problem with my Chinese girl. She ran away from the vaccination center when she found out she was getting Sinovac and couldn't choose which vaccination we get here. She doesn't want anything from the CCP.
Well,
I understand.
I've said this before. My wife being a doctor in China, she would be in charge of vaccinations when the kids would come in for vaccinations, and the parents, if they could, would always choose an imported vaccine.
Every time.
Imported medicine is seen as trustworthy, and local medicine is seen as untrustworthy.
Correct.
So.
Hauntus Farmer says, great stream as always. Let's hope CCP versus USA ultimately ends peacefully with a rap battle.
Yeah,
We agree. That would be the best thing ever.
We can get Ice-T out of retirement or whatever. Ice Cube, what's it? Which one is it? Is it Ice-T?
He follows Ice-T.
It's Ice-T, yeah. With his cold, hard facts.
Is it Ice-T or Ice Cube?
Which, I don't know. Which is that?
Who do you're his fan.
I'm not his fan. I just followed him on Twitter because he's hilarious.
Winston has sent me at least 20 tweets from this guy.
Yeah.
At least 20. He is a huge fan. Is it Ice-T?
It's Ice-T.
Oh, it's Ice-T, yeah.
It's Ice-T.
He's a massive fan.
You know, he keeps putting this.
Read a
ridiculous
cold hard
things.
fact from
Okay.
Ice-T.
Okay. This is one that he put 31 minutes ago. Ice-T, ice cold fact. You are doing better than your haters. Period.
I can get behind that, Ice-T. We support you.
Yeah, we do. He's
a
hilarious.
positive guy. Right?
He's hilarious. He's a massive narcissist, but it's really funny to see what he puts out there. I like it. It's funny.
We're a big
I
fans.
can't remember why I started following him, but it was just some outlandish, ridiculous thing that he said, and I was like, "That's hilarious."
To be fair, it's better than Xi Jinping thought.
Yeah.
Ice cold facts are way better.
The ice cold facts, man. He should start a book.
He should and carry it around.
Little cold book.
Little cold book.
Yeah, you know what I
Keep
mean?
it chill.
Yeah, exactly. You got to keep it in your fridge. You pull it out for an ice cold fact.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get behind that.
Yeah, for sure.
David Neufeld, will the CCP and Taliban screw each other over? How bad? Parmesan tofu, number one.
Big time, big time.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We were going to bring that up, but I think there's going to be more developments.
Yeah.
So we'll let it unfold a little bit.
Yeah, there've been some very interesting things that Chinese professors and so on have been saying on how great the Taliban is and all this. So we're going to put it all together for maybe next time.
Grandpa's old film says, in 1957, I made myself a piece of toast.
Okay.
Nice. Thank you for telling us.
Yeah.
BP, how strong is Chinese influence in South Africa? Do you think it might intensify as in Zambia, or South Africa will prefer to keep a distance?
It's going to intensify. It's very big and it's very worrying. But unfortunately, the corrupt ANC loves the CCP because of money. And we're just going to see it get bigger and bigger. The influence, I mean.
Yeah. ACAC says, what do you guys think of resistance to vaccines? I can't help but feel that all of these regulations are authoritarian.
Yeah. They are scary, and that's something I do like about America is that people have choice.
Yeah.
If you're an anti-vaxxer and you think it's going to make magnets stick to your arm or whatever, whatever. If that's the way you go and you believe in your hippy-dippy weird medicine or something, that's totally up to you, and that's the freedom. You get to choose that.
We may disagree with you, but you get to.
Unfortunately, it will have a negative impact on other people, which sucks. But at least you have your own freedom of choice, and that's what makes America special. For instance,
Jed Brown says, love you guys, greatly appreciate your hard work that you do to expose the truth. Can't wait to watch the episode after work. Swiss is amazing.
It is super good.
Tantaju, thank you very much. Lexi Red, Tantaju is actually from Switzerland. He's laughing.
Yeah, because it's great.
Lexi Red says, Swiss cheese just has kind of a flat flavor. You can't eat it by itself like most cheeses. And is that what Laowhy means by bland? That is absolutely correct. No. You are correct.
I can eat squares of that stuff all day.
I could, but it's boring.
No, didn't you get aged Swiss too, and you get so many different kinds. It's really good.
Did the
Swiss
poll
cheese
say
is great.
aged? I don't think so.
Swiss cheese, aged or not, tastes good and tangy. It's not bland.
How about next episode we actually do a cheese taste?
Yeah, we'll do a cheese taste.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Write it down.
Okay, I'll put it down. We're doing it.
Jimmy O says, stay awesome. We'll do like a bland comparison.
Yes.
Arabella,
blandest cheese.
Yeah, Arabella 1213. Glad I finally caught a live stream. My first ever super chat for some beers after the stream.
Thank
Keep
you.
Up the great work. Always enjoy your
And it's
perspectives.
8.88. Thank you so much, and
That's
I'll
a
definitely
great
take
number.
you up on that.
Josh Jones says, how can we get those CCP raps? I really want to watch the whole cotton rap. I actually did a video. Go to Laowhy86. It's called China's Cringe Rappers.
Yes.
CCP's Cringe Rappers.
Yeah, you'll find them.
Glacia, the master student from Brazil studying China's soft power on digital platforms to export their narrative. Are there any good books you recommend? Could you maybe one day do an interview for my dissertation? We can entertain that idea.
Absolutely, yeah.
Um,
As far as books are concerned, it's tough. I don't read, so... I mean, I read. I can read. But, I don't read books.
books on that specific topic, not so much.
I read a Haynes manual,
Yeah, I'm the reader of the duo.
Yeah, he reads books like Xi Jinping's whatever.
How else are we going to understand this shit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry,
It's
but Xi Jinping's thought is shit.
It is.
Bipedal species. Can you please look at the Scottish hate speech laws versus Chinese laws to see which are worse? 7 years in Scotland without actually offending anyone. Actually, bipedal species, I have to disagree with your statement because Scotland's not a real place.
What are you
Unfortunately,
talking
if you
about?
put it in here, it'll just come up with a black
flag. Yeah.
Lexi Red, did you see the dude's arm turn black from the vaccine? What? No one's arm turned black from a vaccine.
I don't know.
Tacit turn. Ice-T was a great in Tank Girl.
Yeah, he was like,
kangaroo.
it was
what?
like, yeah, he was like this kangaroo thing.
What am I missing out on?
Yeah, you got to watch Tank Girl someday.
I've never heard of it.
It's not great.
Then why do I gotta?
I don't know, because
know
you
what
can
we
see
didn't
Ice-T
do?
as a kangaroo.
You still didn't watch the freaking Walk to Remember trailer.
That's true. I didn't.
You have to. It'll take 1 minute.
Okay, well,
one minute.
We'll watch it after the stream.
David Pay says, I missed a lot of your broadcasts on the road to Vegas. Took pictures of the wreckage at Liberty Park Sculpture. A bunch of thin-skinned, insecure people. Hopefully we're getting some progress on that, David. Garhead, I like how the CCP soldier is scratching his head with a pistol. Hope his drills... Never mind.
Yeah.
Christopher Watson, imagine you lost an entire segment due to an argument about cheese.
Yeah, imagine that.
What do you mean a segment?
Yeah, well, we didn't lose a segment.
No, people. That was our highest concurrent viewers. Was the
Okay.
cheese debate.
Well, it's true though. It's important.
DJ, after each bite of cheese, scream the word the Chinese badminton lady said.
What's up? Yeah.
Grandpa's old film says, why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 7 was a registered 6 offender.
Come on. That's actually pretty good.
Big Willie, 21207. The most bland cheese, the only issue by the government when you're on welfare.
Okay.
The one issued by the government. Oh, okay.
Oh, yes. There we go.
Okay, guys, we'll
Wow,
have
we
a
did
cheese battle for sure next time, and then the segment we missed out on went way over time.
Yeah, it looks like Scotland's got black flags again.
Fix
Fix it, YouTube. Fix it.
Come on.
Guys, it's been fantastic having you as part of the conversation once again. Remember, this is a very important conversation that we have here every week. I know sometimes we get off track, but at the end of the day, I hope you all learned a little something from this and can go away with a little bit of knowledge, maybe educate some of your peers or friends and have something interesting to say over a beer tonight. I'm certainly going to have a couple. I can't wait until next time that we get to see you. And I'm not going to cut myself off this time. I'm actually going to wait for it now.